My name's Ty. I'm the third year, he, him, his, and I'm the Student Senate appointed SFC co-chair / liaison.
Thanks for checking in. Someone say what we did.
What we did this week?
All right, we're live.
Yeah, I did my life. This first week of student government.
So do you guys want to follow up on what you, like, your checkout from last week?
Oh, yeah.
What do you remember your checkout from last week?
I held office hours. I went to the college working group.
Student engagement.
What?
Student engagement.
Student engagement working group.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that was
Hi, I'm Jordan, he, him, his. I'm a second year. So this week I held office hours, and I was also at the student engagement working group with time a few others. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a third year, she, her, hers. I am the operations manager for Senate. This past week I held my office hours, started coordinating with both the EMT working group and the student health working group, and started doing internal organizational stuff for being our operations manager.
Hi, I'm Nick Olson. I use he, him, and his. I'm a fourth year. This week I held office hours. I sent out an email about the referendum. I sent out an email to try to coordinate for the Res Ed working group, as well as responded and worked on several other emails related to several of the other working groups. I also looked at which committees I'm interested in and have come to a conclusion.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan. I'm a fourth year. I prefer she, her, and her because I'm really distracted by Nick's food because it looks delicious. This past week, worked a bit with Nick and Nolan, Nick C and Nolan, to send out some emails and begin getting the show on the road for the South Campus /MRC liaison. We sent out different emails to like the MRC staff and then to like student leaders, prominent student leaders within program housing and on South Campus as well. Began some publicity for the referendum, like Facebook status, went really well. And sent some emails out to start the sexualized violence working group. I guess one thing that's kind of frustrating about that is that I really have no idea who to go to other than Meredith Raimondo. So I need some suggestions, and some help from you all to reach out to some people and make sure that we like have a comprehensive and like diverse group of students on that panel, on that group, working group. I'm also working on a varsity athletics task force, specifically focused on like gender and equity concerns in a less institutionalized sense, in a more like pragmatic sense, and like practical ways we can make change there. Yeah, holy crap, I guess that's it, right? No, I had office hours too. Yeah, no one came.
I'm Nick Canavan, he, him, his. I'm a third year. Held office hours, still trying to find a good location for that. As far as South Campus stuff goes, Megan pretty much covered it. And as committee liaison, I sent out about 35 emails to the heads of all of the committees. And just as a sort of tidbit to show how out of date some of our records are, somebody emailed me and said, I haven't been involved in this committee in 7 years, and they were listed as the contact person. So I'm sifting through all of that. We'll talk, definitely.
Nice.
Great. And that's it.
I'm Corey, second year, he, him, his. I held my student office hours, went to the engagement working group, and met with Aaron along with Nick and Ben, kind of going over the duties of the committee liaison and the committee appointments coordinators.
Hi, I'm not a student senator. I'm Jonathan Chuang. Congratulations on your elections, senators. I am the editor-in-chief in Fearless and Loathing, and I'm recording tonight's meeting. Third year, he, him, his.
Hi, I'm Ben Libby, third year, he, him, his. What I did this week, held office hours, met with Aaron to sort of get the reins on the committee appointment stuff. Me and Corey emailed A couple people interested in joining committees. Sent out some applications. Hopefully we'll get those back soon. I also went to the student engagement working group. Yeah, so that's about it.
I'm Justin. I'm for he, him, his on first year. This week I did office hours. I sent out the email for the trans allyship workshop, so like if you could all fill that out. I sent it to listserv, but I don't think everyone got it, so it should be in the student senate email. I emailed someone about sponsoring a SCO night for the senate outreach stuff. Yeah, we could SCO night. I emailed the person about the referendum, the treasurer, and they said the second it gets passed, we'll start getting paid. And basically the vibe I got was like I could argue for retroactive pay, but nothing's gonna happen there. And then I also brainstormed with Anjali about events we want to do.
Sure. Hi, I'm Anjali. I am a first year. I have first she, her, and hers. I held my first office hours, and no students came, but just came, so that was exciting. So I talked to like most of my fellow position people as to where we want. I talked to my fellow outreach and events coordinators about how we wanted to break it up and what we wanted to do. There are a lot of great ideas. I'm really excited. I set up the student senate Twitter page and YouTube page because they both kind of like fell apart. So I'm going to fix them, and I sort of have fixed them, but anyway. Also, this doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but if you guys would stay after the meeting, I want to take a quick Senate picture so I can make that our profile picture for the Senate page instead of a random building.
I like it.
General feelings on moving on to the next item on the agenda.
I have a question.
Oh, wait. Actually.
Do you guys know if the other senators are coming? Were we
Mahmoud's
notified?
going to be late.
Nolan's sick.
Nolan is sick.
Like too sick.
Yeah, so we
wanna know
can
about
talk
the
about
Zags?
that later. I know.
Oh, are we
nothing.
missing both, Zach?
We're missing both Zags, but also can we do the outer loop of the room for introductions before we finish this? Actually.
I like that.
Okay, yes, we'll begin with.
Hi, Eric, Dean of Students. He, him, his.
Hi, I'm Julia, one of the editors and chief of the review. I prefer she, her, and hers.
I'm Rose, I prefer she, her, and hers, and I'm the other editor-in-chief of the review.
I'm Taylor, I'm used to she, her, and hers, and I'm the web layout manager for the Oberlin review, and I was managing after the last.
I'm Julian, he and his third year, and managing editor of the Oberlin review.
Duran, he and his third year ad hoc liaison for SFC.
Hi, I'm Scott, I prefer he, him, and his, and I'm the SFC policy manager.
Hello, my name is Natalia. I prefer she, her, and hers, and I am the operations manager for the SAT.
I'm Kevin, he and his, and I'm Jonathan's respective student.
Welcome. He volunteered to come. I didn't drag him to this. He wanted to come. Just for the record.
So my apologies for any inconsistencies in procedures. This is my first time doing this, and probably gonna be a new story for no one after a while because we're all going to be new at this. So. Okay, so approval of the agenda. Next item. Moving on.
Yeah.
So we have, I've been to my attention some things to add to the agenda.
Yeah, somehow it got taken off the Google Doc, but I think we should talk about keeping Senate elections staggered.
Yeah.
Staggered. Like, we all got elected within the same semester. That's not supposed to happen.
So there won't be any seats up.
Yeah, we need to.
What? Some of us have already talked about this, but
I think it'd be.
I'm walking. FYI.
I think it would be good to have
I think it would be best though if we like talked about it all together.
Yeah.
Let's just add the discussion.
Okay, add it to the discussion.
Clarifying question: do we have to make a motion on this?
As far as
Like
adding something to
adding, or is it just go?
No, anyone,
Says.
anyone can add anything to the agenda. Non-senators can add things to the agenda as well.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. Yeah.
So to add, should we add
Senate
adding
elections?
Senate stagger of the elections to discussions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then she.
Go for it. Yeah, I just wanted to add to discussions as well, officer positions and points, because the permanent positions have things that you can get pointed for, the non-permanent ones don't, as long as we're maintaining the point system as an accountability system. I think it's only fair that the non-permanent positions have a point system. Really, this is a 3-minute conversation where I'd like people who don't currently have points for their positions to take a week and think about what they want their specifics to be.
And another amendment is the working group, like the social media autonomy proposal should be moved to discussions because it's not a proposal, but it's a discussion that needs to be had.
So you can just make an arrow, I guess. Do you want to do a quick check-in just for the recording events?
Okay. Zachary, Senator here, he, him, his, and what's the check-in question?
Oh, just what were the things that we said we were going to do at the end of last plenary? Just like
Yeah. So, I had my office hour, and then I talked to a couple of students there about another potential working group and like financial accessibility. So it was nice 2 people came, and then for the accessibility, I sent out a one is good, and I was going to declare tonight when the next meeting is, hopefully this week.
Yeah. Any further business to be added to the agenda? Do we have to vote on the agenda or just move on?
Let's just move on.
Feelings to move on? Good. Next, outside business. On the agenda, first we have the editors of the Oberlin Review on our outside business. So we begin the stack. The stack is open.
I have a clarifying question. Like, what exactly is the outside business?
Does someone care to directly respond?
I can sort of directly respond. Excuse me, I'm also speaking. So anyone who isn't senators can come in with statements, request that we look at things, form task force work groups, put our voice as senators behind a statement about something on campus, raise something to our attention. So that goes under outside business. It's frequently organizations, and they make a statement, and then we can ask questions, and staff goes.
Okay. I was actually specifically asking like what specifically this particular outside business is.
Oh,
They're gonna
that
tell
is
you.
Yeah, they do that.
So, would you just begin?
Hi guys, thanks for having us. I'm Julia, I'm one of the editors in chief. We came because Nolan asked us to stop by. I'm also a little unsure of exactly what's going on.
I thought he was going to be here.
We're here, we're happy to answer any questions. I mean, as probably many of you read our editorial this week, talking about how we think that the cuts to our stipend funding are really going to affect us as an organization, especially in terms of accessibility. I mean, it's a very big time commitment to be on the review, and that's fine. Like, that's something we're all really willing to make, but for a lot of people, they can't afford to be part of our institution if they're not getting some sort of stipend funding. And we think that without stipends, it's going to really limit the number of people and the types of people from different socioeconomic backgrounds who can be part of our paper. And as the paper of record for both the city and the school, we think it's really important that anybody who's interested in journalism or the things that are happening on campus has that opportunity. So that's what our editorial is basically about. It goes into like more details kind of about what the process has been like. And we're happy to go with it. We're hopeful that we can come up with a solution that kind of will allow us to keep functioning in the way that we're functioning now, and hopefully not put additional burdens on the editors. So we'd be happy to answer any questions or.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So like, you guys are still receiving stipends, right? The editors are at least.
So we received cuts to our stipends, so they weren't eliminated completely, although they were for like the Wilder Voice. We co-wrote our editorial with them. And at this point, because by the time we had heard back about our budget for this year, we'd already hired everyone because we have to do that before the summer starts, basically, and we didn't hear back until like after school was out. So we had already agreed to hire people and pay them a certain amount of money to do this job. So we're hoping that by increasing our ad revenue, we're going to be able to continue to pay people at the rates that we promised them. but it puts us in a really like delicate financial situation. We're lucky because we like do advertising and we have the opportunity to like, you know, try to increase that and try to do online advertising or any way in which we can kind of make up that difference. But you know, any unforeseen costs or something are going to be really problematic for us, and so it's like a very scary position to be in.
Since you guys are paid, I believe, by the student activity fund, do you have online time cards in most organizations?
We don't get to bill for our hours. We get paid for a set amount of time, depending on the position, and we actually work significantly more hours than we get paid for.
Which is fine.
Which is fine, and like what it has been. We're not asking to be paid for every hour that we work. Like, for instance, the editors-in-chief generally work, you know, more than 20 hours a week, and we get paid for 12, and like that's fine. The main point with stipends, at least from our perspective, is that it like allows people not to have to take an additional job on top of that because it's such a huge time commitment. So we don't have our time cards online, but we have provided SFC with a like detailed like hour by hour like position description for like what we do, because it's, you know, it's a weekly paper, so our weeks are fairly usual in terms of like hour distribution. So if you guys would be interested in that, we can probably share it with you.
Well, just to like comment on that, like the SFC like just instituted a new policy where we're supposed to have time cards now when you do stipends, and the SFC hasn't like started doing that yet, but that will be a new thing that comes in. So soon you will be required to turn in time card. That's part of the new policy.
I just have what were your stipends previously and what did they get cut to? Or
it depends on the position.
Okay, but like as a paper.
Gross salary?
Yeah.
The answer in 2014, the previous year I believe was like 23,000.
20.
I think they got cut by a little more than 6,000.
Okay, so it's a cut from 23,000 to like about 17 or something like that.
Well, it depends how you're calculating, because we're also funded for like things beyond stipends that weren't really affected by this. So there's also like printing costs, which are relatively high. But basically, the difference I think is a little more than 6,000.
And mostly happened to stipends.
To stipends.
Okay,
It wasn't
cool.
much else that was.
So what's your funding for stipends now then? And as like a proportion, did you get like your stipend funding halved? Or?
It's not quite half. I don't know the exact proportion we can calculate it for you.
Okay.
It's like uneven across the boards, and we also pay for stipends by advertising.
Okay.
We pay a certain amount through that. I don't have the exact figures, but we can pull it up.
How much were stipend?
Yeah, that'll question that.
Okay, I have a question. Just to like clarify, so the amount per stipend has been reduced, but the number of stipended positions has remained the same?
Almost. One position was kind of cut entirely. I'm not really sure why exactly, but most of them are just reduced and like different amounts depending on the position. Not every position initially is paid the same number of hours or whatever, however you're calculating that.
Okay.
Any questions? Anything else? General feelings on moving on to the SFC representative statement. Okay, moving up, the Student Finance Committee representatives have a statement.
Yeah, so for similar reasons, we just wanted to be here to answer questions. For those of you who don't know, the SFC is the committee that allocates the money from the Student Activity Fund. So last spring, I myself and Marty were not on the committee that made the decision to vote for the reviews budget, but we were part of the contribution this semester when reviewing that decision. So we're here to help answer any questions that you might have.
Sarah?
I might just be lost on your website, but I can't find, we're in fiscal year 2015. I can't find the budgeting, like the budgeting itemized decisions online.
It's not on there.
They're not there?
That's not our job.
Is there someone?
It's the student treasurer.
Student treasurer. Yeah.
Oh.
So we didn't have that. But all the allocations are.
Yeah, I saw the big spreadsheet, but the minutes for the budgeting.
I think the minutes should be up.
The minutes are up.
They are up? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Question. So if the decision to cut the budget or to cut the reviews budget was made in spring, why wasn't
the review aware of it until after they made hiring decisions in the summer?
So basically how spring budgeting works, that there's like 100 and something student organizations on campus, and we spend the whole entire spring semester after spring break allocating all of those budgets. So after we make our decisions, then the Office of the Student Treasurer spends commencement week marking up all of those budgets. So imagine you being here for commencement week and maybe a little after marking up 100 and something budgets. So we don't tend to get a lot of those budgets until till school's officially out. So that's kind of the reason why they didn't know.
Okay.
Other than the Oberlin Review and Wilder Voice, what other organizations were what other stipends were affected by, I guess, the spring budgeting process? If you want to comment on it.
WBOC. WOBC. I keep okay. And I think that's the only one actually. I believe so. But there are other groups that get stipends.
I think there are 7 groups on campus that get stipends.
I'd like to note that EXCO is listed as getting a stipend every single year, but our stipend comes directly from the college and not the student activity fund. Just so you guys know. And it's minuscule.
So I have a question. Can you guys just like quickly walk through the process of deciding to cut the review and Wilder Voices stipend, just so we know like the reasoning behind it and all that?
Yeah. So, as someone who tries to act in the best interest of the student body, we try to take into account the voice of the students. One tool we used was the referendum, and as the review pointed out, it was, whether or not it was poorly worded, there was a section at the end of it that asked for comments, and a lot of students explicitly cited that they were disappointed that the review was getting stipends. So that was one part. All of us on the committee hold office hours every week, and especially during spring budgeting, at the end of the year when things happen, a lot of people come in and talk to us about why are you giving money to this organization, how do I do this, so on and so forth. And again, that's when you hear a lot of concern about student money going towards stipends, particularly for the review. I think another part of this, and this is going back a little bit, but there's been some problems with fiscal. Jerome might be able to speak better to this. Fiscal management of the review in the past. That affected our decision as well. Yeah, I'd say that's the basic overview.
I think I'd be happy to talk about just like for a minute, just like how difficult stipends are as an issue for the SFC. They're really difficult because you have to prove that, because there are a countless number of student organizations on campus and only a small number receive stipends, and they receive stipends because the SFC believes they're integral to the campus functioning, that the campus needs them, and the Oberlin Review absolutely falls under that purview, and that they couldn't function without the stipends, which also the SFC totally agrees that the review couldn't function without those stipends. And then lastly, that being on that committee, or that student organization would prevent students from pursuing other employment opportunities in order to be financially sustainable, which is also true of the review. It becomes really hard for the SFC because there's so those criteria are hard to meet, and students feel uncomfortable with that some students get this amount of stipends, some organizations get this amount of stipends, and so in that referendum you see students basically saying these stipends are really hard to control. There isn't very many processes behind making sure that the places that these stipends are going is where they should be going, and then also just the amounts, and so yeah, I think that was a big part of instituting this new stipend policy for this year. They changed it, and then also just trying to reduce them in some places to try and just make them more manageable, so that the SFC could get a good handle on them.
Sorry, to follow up on that, I also think that it's worth noting that in our policy we make a distinction between giving stipends and giving wages. So we believe that since this is student money and people put in 10, 20 hours a week pursuing their passion, making great impact on this campus, they should get some compensation for their time, and we do that through stipends. We do not, however, give out wages, so that's giving out a minimum wage or however much for every hour that someone works, and that's not what we do.
Okay. So to add on to what Ty said, I have some more questions. Firstly, how do the review stipends in terms of amount compare in terms of like numbers of positions and how much money those positions receive to other student organizations that are stipended? And then also, is there any mechanism, like what are the mechanisms for accountability for stipends to like ensure that people are actually like putting in time that they're being compensated for?
So in terms of mechanisms, as Tyler stated, we just put in place our policy at the end of last year, where now organizations that receive stipends must basically post their time cards, and they have to give them to us, and then I think we post them. Because it's a new policy, we didn't start it this month, but we will be starting it like now. Well, not now, but at the end of this month.
I think to follow up on the first part of your question, this year the review received about $32,000 in stipends. The previous year they received about $23,000 in stipends.
No.
That's a great average.
Wait, but that would go up.
For the 2013-2014 year?
Including printing costs and everything else.
We have down
Stipends was about
received $23,000 in stipends for the 2013-2014 year.
Yes.
And about $31,000 for this year.
You have 31,000.
Wait, I thought it was correct.
Yeah.
No,
They went
so
up.
how, okay,
Total
I
budget
think-
rose, but stipends were cut.
Yes. So
Okay.
basically, what happened is that if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of the review stipends come from their ad revenue. So one thing that we do with, I guess, the review and some other people that have stipends, that we allow them to keep income that they make, the review, their ad revenue. And with that goes into their payroll. So like we're funding them at like $32,000 for that, but like that's also that's joining their ad revenue. So allowing them to keep their ad revenue. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. I don't think the first question might not completely answered because we got sidetracked. But so like in terms of like average stipend per position, how does the review compare to other student organizations?
That's a hard.
If it's not like a really useful question, then you don't need to answer it.
No, I'll answer it, but it's just like they're very average. I think it depends on what we're comparing them to. For some groups, comparatively speaking, they get more hours. For others, they get around the same. So
I think part of the reason that question is difficult to answer is because there are so many different positions at the review that get stipends.
Okay.
So they range from getting 3 hours a week in stipends to 12 hours a week.
Okay.
And so it's difficult because most other organizations have like one position that some people fill, and they get a very consistent amount of funding.
I think it's 10 hours.
10 hours a week? Anywhere.
So,
About 10 hours, okay, yeah.
So, is there a way that the information necessary to answer that question is that available somewhere? Like,
I mean, you could go through like all of the we could go through all the budgets.
Okay, so and I guess where could we find that? Where could someone find that?
There
on
are-
the website. Okay.
Well, what Sarah brought up earlier, I think, is where that information would be. Is that
Yeah.
correct? That the Office of Student Treasurer hasn't put up the
thought
itemized budgets yet.
The proposal.
Because like we can look at the gross budget that at least I have the ability to look at the gross budget given, but I don't currently have the ability to look at the itemized thing. And like I'm sure that the SFC could go through and like look that up, but like we're not going to be able to do it right now.
Right.
OST will have it up within like 48 hours.
Secretary?
I was gonna ask why fiscal year 15 wasn't on here, and why when you try to go to the budget notes that you have to request access, but I think that was just answered.
Can I propose that we close stacked? I think we've asked most of our questions. proposal.
Can I, just before we do that, can I have a clarifying question? Like,
Yeah. Well,
I asked like before, like at the beginning of this, like what exactly the outside business was, and I'm still not really clear. Like, what are we being requested?
Anyone care to respond? I can raise the hand.
I can do it. It's actually not factual, so I can't get response. Sometimes we are made aware of issues on campus, and occasionally like we'll issue a statement about them or sort of give the weight of our voices, but I don't think either side is asking us to do that right now. So we're hearing things and staying informed because as student senators, that is our job.
Okay.
We can also help provide maybe pathways to help start conversations between such entities like these two. And yeah, yeah.
I guess to that end, do you guys have anything you want to say before we close staff?
I mean, only that I think the review plays like a really critical role on campus, and it's really necessary that we have this accessibility, and that anyone who wants to participate can. And I mean, I think we kind of outlined most of our arguments in the article, like also going into kind of how frustrating the process has been of dealing with this and how the rules continue to keep changing about what this process has been like, which is kind of all in the editorial if you guys are
I
interested.
encourage you to just read the article.
Haven't
and
read
basically-
it. I don't think we're asking for anything specific. We just kind of wanted to be here to field any questions that you guys might have. Yeah, basically we were
Can I
just
ask
asked to stop by.
one question to the review?
Okay, Ben first, and then we'll hear from SFC and then Zach.
So it's my impression that the process a student group would go through if they're unhappy with the amount that they've been funded would be to appeal the decision. Is that what you guys are planning on doing? Is there any seems?
We were actually discouraged from doing that. I mean, if you want
Yeah,
to
I had originally, when we received our initial allocation in May, I had asked to appeal the allocation and was told that there were two different avenues to go down, one which was appealing through Senate, and one which was ad hocing, the way most student organizations do. We decided to ad hoc, which we were unsuccessful at ad hocing. We haven't decided.
we did not.
Well, we sort of like, it was like a sort of modified ad hoc process, but we didn't get the funding that we were requesting through that process. We haven't decided if now we want to go.
Is this someone that we should discuss like what that process looks like?
Yeah, 'cause-
Yeah.
I can discuss that.
Ty.
Well, first of all, I think it would be helpful to just explain to you guys what ad hoc is. Yeah. Okay. So ad hoc is when a student two different things. Either when a student organization has like unforeseen circumstances, so somehow their spring, what they thought they needed in their spring budget has changed, so they come to the ad hoc fund and they say, hey, these circumstances have changed, our operating costs have changed, here are the new things that we need. It's also just for like either like unchartered student organizations or like students individually who are like, this would be an awesome thing to do, but it's not in our spring budget. And I think the Oberlin review ad hoc was sort of like it didn't really happen because there wasn't changed.
I was told to do it under the sort of argument that we were providing additional information that wasn't initially available in
Right.
the allocation.
That's
that
another.
did.
So,
we were
we were
discouraged
told to
from
push
appealing
that.
through Senate and instead going that route as a sort of higher probability of receiving the funds, which didn't end up happening.
I wasn't in that ad hoc meeting, so you'd have to talk to the SFC because it was before I was elected to the position.
This was with me, sir.
This SSC, do you have a statement to make, or would you care to hear this question first?
We can hear the question first. I had a direct statement, I guess, to the ad hoc situation. So basically, we had, I think, an hour conversation, maybe longer, on this topic. And basically what happened is that one position in particular for the review was we actually didn't mean to not fund in a way, and so I think you gave us adequate information, but how it worked out was that we divided up the two positions. They were together, I think it was like web person, I can't remember the exact title of the person, but there were two positions and I think they were for 6 hours, and we divided them in half, so both would be compensated for 3 hours each. So essentially, nothing changed with their budget, but that type of like allocation, if that makes sense. At least that's what's on our minutes.
So there was one position worked by one person that was defunded entirely. So you're talking about two different situations. The this week editor was defunded entirely, which is one person doing one job. We were told to combine certain positions on our budget because of a new policy instituted by either OST or SFC, I can't recall, wherein student organizations requesting stipends, each position had to be 7 hours or greater to receive stipends. When we went and talked with both SFC and OST, we were told last year, this was in the spring, we were preparing our initial budget, we were told to combine certain positions together that were fewer than 7 hours to add up to greater than 7 hours, so that on the budget everything would kind of go smoothly. So that's the reason that on our budget certain positions were combined. So for example, online editor and layout manager, in this case it's actually the same person, but they're two separate jobs. But in other cases, like our business manager and our production manager, who are two different people, were also combined because their hours separately do not add to 7 hours, but together they do.
Well, yeah. Which was fine, but like that is exactly what we funded. That's what the ad hoc process, what we actually funded during that whole entire ad hoc. Does that make sense? So we basically funded you, both the web layout editor and the web person. But we didn't fund the other person.
Point of order that I sense that this discussion is moving away from the Senate and moving toward a dialogue between the two groups, so you can hear Zachary's
I have two questions. The first one is for SFC. The second one is general. The first question is, given the apparent lack of public access to the 2015 budget, can you give an estimate how much the stipends were reduced for the Oberlin review?
Zach, we've already done that.
You were about $6,000.
$6,000. Okay, I wanted to be like a clear statement. I thought that was a reasonable question, considering like this is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, but we already did that.
Except we had layer upon layer discussion that wasn't clear. Now it's clear. About $6,000. That's the estimate.
Great.
A direct response.
$6,812.25.
Thank you. And then time.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You have.
Here's another question.
Yes.
And the second question is, if someone wanted to talk briefly about how the appeal process through Senate would work, that'd be nice.
Do you want me to do that now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the appeals process, the group submits a written complaint to Student Senate a week before plenary. It has to thoroughly document your grievances against the budget allocation and that the SFC made it in an unfair, arbitrary manner. And the request has to be, I mean, this is all in the bylaws if you guys look at it, but basically you submit it to us. If we decide that we see grounds for your argument that it was unfair and arbitrary, then we'll vote on that. Then we send it back to the SFC. If the SFC says we think our decision was right originally, then you guys can appeal it again, and it comes back to the Student Senate, and then the Student Senate makes the final decision on it.
So direct, you can find in the bylaws Article 13, section appeal allocation process, and that's the current version is on the Student Senate website. Sarah.
Yeah, I just have a question for you guys, since I can't find the budgeting minutes. Y'all had direct quotes in your article?
They were emailed to us.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Wanted to find out, yeah.
Although, I think some of those quotes were taken from the proposals that weren't passed.
So they're actually taken from our minutes, they're not direct quotes, just
Yeah.
to clarify.
Okay, your quotes from the minutes.
Yeah.
In that case, I'm gonna propose that we close up.
So basically, like the whole idea, like I think it's kind of unreasonable for us in a way to say that like taking an hour to 2 hours off of stipends, you know, a week's of stipends to like an hour a week, maybe 2 hours a week, is a drastic change in quality and it's a drastic change in like how an organization is run. I think you can't say, like it's really hard for us to say like to have an organization on campus with stipends, saying that without their stipends that they can't possibly maintain any interest. And I think another thing that I thought was very interesting is that throughout all of this, I think that we have to keep the numbers, the big numbers and the big picture involved with all of this. And just thinking, yes, maybe $6,000 was cut, but there's still $31,000, close to $32,000 that an organization does have. And for us as SFC, we are responsible to not only think of the review or other organizations, but also all students on this campus. And when we have students, saying, well, I don't want my money going to this, we have to make a compromise somewhere. We just can't say ignore students because it is students' money.
Also, just to add, cutting $6,000 to close to $7,000 in stipends, meaning deducting 1 to 2 hours from each of the positions, means that there is close to $7,000 left over to fund traditionally underfunded groups. We're spending student money on student groups, other student groups that have been underfunded. That's not, I'm sorry, I personally don't think that that's fair. And it was a hard decision because there are lots of groups on campus that spend countless hours. And in an ideal world, yes, we would like to pay you for all the hours that you work. We're not saying that you don't deserve that, and that all student groups on campus don't deserve that. And it was a very hard decision, but we really want everyone to bear in mind that we try to do the best that we can given the student body, given the money we're left to work with, and we really just want you guys to know that we try to have everybody's best interest in mind. And that's hard when you're looking over about 130 groups who all want money to put on programming to contribute to the school. And so we just want you to know that we have their best interest in mind, and we really wish for what we did to be respected. Thank you.
Further comments or proposals? General feeling on closing stack. That's an affirmation. So stack is now closed on outside business. Section 4, announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? Thank you for coming.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If I could just take some time to advertise the Latinx Heritage Month events that are coming up this week specifically, and my involvement in them. So there's a Narratives of Latinx Students panel that is taking place Wednesday, October 8th, and I'll be speaking on that panel. And it'll be happening in King 106 from 5 to 6:30. And it would be really awesome for you all to be there.
What's the date?
That is October 8th, Wednesday, October 8th. King 106, so that's first floor. And then another event that I will be performing during, opening during, is the Maria Ponte Transitions of a Nuyorican Cinderella, the musical. And that's Friday, October 10th from 7 to 10 p.m. in the A House Lounge, Lord Lounge. And there are descriptions of both of these events on the Latinx Heritage Month page on Facebook. If you guys want me to provide you with that link or any other additional details, let me know. Several students in La Alianza and otherwise self-identifying Latinx students have expressed concerns, but more so just wishes that more senators or Senate would be great, present during these events. And I know that I will be there, so it would be great to see you all there.
I think Corey raised his hand first.
Yeah, for people interested in mental wellness, there's going to be a mental wellness fair this Wednesday in the Science Center from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. If people didn't already know.
All right. Just to re-clarify for all the senators that just got here, please stick around after Senate. I want to take a quick picture so that we can have a Senate picture on our Senate page instead of a meaningless building.
Can I just ask both of you guys to send those out, whatever links you have to send them out to the Senate?
Do it. I'm on it.
Did you have your hand up? Zach?
I just wanted to apologize for my lateness. I got in a huge argument with my mom. This is not a normal thing, and it will not happen again.
And likewise, I had a baseball game, and we won both, so that's happy. But I wasn't excited, so sorry.
You mock dude.
I have a brief announcement, just that I noticed in the Senate email that listserv was formed. I emailed Mahmoud about it, but I don't believe I got added. Then that same thing would go that maybe if each of you, just to be sure that you're included in the listserv for the senators.
Can we just send a test email right now and
Yeah.
we can just see?
I can check who's on the list, actually, so let me just do that.
Cool.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Philip.
It's okay. I just don't want to miss anything vitally important and then get 400 points in 1 week because I was not informed.
If you get 400 points, you get expelled from Oberlin because we kick you out like 30.
Any other announcements?
What's your name?
All right. So it goes. You have something?
Oh no, this
okay. General feelings of moving on?
Yays.
Office hour reports. We started going anti-clockwise to start, so we'll go clockwise this time. So Zachary, did you care to begin?
You want to just saying what happened in my office hours?
Yeah.
Oh,
if anything.
Okay. 2 students showed up. I told them explicitly, and they came out and they talked about, I guess, financial accessibility, the potential working group, and their feelings on CDS and the wages there, and just like how I guess like the lack of financial accessibility here.
All right. The only person who came to mind was Justin, but it's okay. We talked about events that we wanted to put on, and you guys all get emails about them, and yeah, so he was basically the only person who came. Mahmoud came for a few minutes. That was exciting, but other than that, it was just.
Yeah, none came to mind. Just people asking what senator office hours are.
Really quick, could we also say the location? If any.
Okay, so what was wrong?
Azarias.
The Student Science Center.
I'm in desk and at lunch.
So for my office hours, I held them in Azarias. I had 2 people come, but like they're people who I knew and like I told to come. So like not just like people who wanted to go to Senate office hours. They were willing to talk about stuff, and it seems like people are interested in the sexualized violence working group and also the Res Ed working group. I think people seem to be very interested in. So
surprised.
Hopefully we'll convince both of them to get more involved in those, but we'll see.
Did you get their names?
Yeah, I can. I'll ask them if they want to do it because I think one of them wants to do the Res Ed working group. I'll talk to them.
Beautiful.
I had working office hours Thursday in Azarias. No one came. I made a sign. I'm gonna make a bigger sign.
So we had office hours on Thursday, just sort of out there, because I still haven't been able to find a good location yet. We're hoping to do it in the MRC since we're South Campus / MRC liaisons. It's a great location, and it would be a good, like, hey, we're here, let's talk every week kind of thing. Nobody came, unsurprisingly, but Megan, Nolan, and I had a meeting, talked about South Campus stuff, sent out an email, so it was productive.
I mean, I was there.
Yeah. Same deal.
Yeah.
I held my office hours in Azarias on Wednesday. No one came, but I was quite proud of my sign. I also, as I said, I'm going to hold a special OSCA office hours as OSCA liaison. Those are not going to start until next Monday because throughout this week, I am scheduled to visit every co-op except for Paul B, who has taken like 5 days to get back to me. So I'm still figuring.
I'll talk to them.
Wait, actually. Wait, did they? Oh, they emailed me a half hour ago, actually. So I'll figure that out. So yeah, that's what happened with me.
Hi, I did office hours on Wednesday. I did them in Stevie during dinner instead of lunch, which typically I'll do lunchtime. I mostly reviewed the bylaws and the Constitution, as well as drafted the referendum email that we sent out. And checked other email-related stuff. No one... excuse me. Happens. No one stopped by, but yeah, I need a sign, so.
I had office hours on Friday at 1 in Daycaf. So I think they'll be moving because Daycaf is just tiny and cramped. No one came by except for a guy who asked if I could watch his bag. And yeah, I like answered emails, sent emails out, but yeah, it was lonely.
I held mine on Thursday in Azariah's at 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. I had people I already knew stop by complaining about the lack of a cigarette dispenser trash thing on the south dorm porch. I don't know what we can do about that, but it is getting messy back there, so maybe something. And then the other thing that came up was someone gave me their name to put down for the mental health / student health working group. So if people are interested in that, I can try and connect you.
Yeah, my office hours happen on Tuesday. A couple of kids that I already know want to be on some working groups. I think in general, that's just like a big thing we all gotta do is like, let's make sure we're gathering up people to put on working groups. Those are my office hours.
Office hours were Friday from 11 to 12 in the Science Center atrium. I had one person come to talk about this. They had a question about the working groups that would come out of that. And yeah, that's it. And also, I just sent an email to the listserv, so you can check now or later, but I just want to make sure everyone's on it. So I'll let down like Albert.
I look at mine.
When is good? Yeah.
I held my office hours Friday at 3 p.m. in the conservatory lounge, since I'm the conservatory student here. Two gentlemen came, but they were both my organist colleagues, and so the one did lodge a complaint that the day cafe does not carry bottled water, clear water. But I said, I'm not sure what I can do about that. I referred him to the resident working group because it seems, or the
That's actually conscious. That's a conscious decision that our college made a while ago to discourage the use of disposable water bottles.
Tell him to buy a Nalgene.
Yeah.
Well, so we actually did discuss that. Now I can't tell you what this tone was about that. But, so yes.
I was just gonna say, I've talked to the people at the cafe a lot, and they will take in mind stocking considerations if you request for certain things. So I don't know about the water bottle situation because I don't really like water bottles or anything, but they will actually listen to requests for stocking items.
So I could tell him to tell management there.
That's who. Yes, that's who we would talk to. That's who we would talk to. Yeah.
And just for the record, I say du café because that's if it's read in French. Du café. Day café.
Du café
is du café. Just a linguistic choice. I was also approached, not during my office hour, but kind of the same idea. Well, I would like to actually perhaps have a set time when I'm at my dormitory for people who want to lodge complaints there, or complaints, anything. Compliments or suggestions. He wants a new TV in our one lounge in East. So I referred him to our hall council for that. I think that's what maybe the smoking poll too. Your hall councils might be able to do.
So smoking is actually not allowed on the porch. So I don't think
there's a reason.
Although, like pragmatically, there really should be one there so that nobody has to go at the end of the year and clean up all the nasty cigarette butts that have been soaked with rain.
Trash can for the trash.
Yeah, it's something like that. You know.
All right. I'm gonna stop this bureaucratic mess.
Do we have any committee reports?
Yeah, definitely.
guys, like,
Were there any committees?
Yeah.
Okay, well then.
not a working group.
Sorry.
I think I'm the only person who's on a committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys want me to talk about this?
Well, quickly to the end of like bookkeeping for the committees. Our bookkeeping is terrible. I have no idea who's running them. I have no idea how out of date what we have is. And I'm getting responses to this form that I'm sending out, but the way that they're presented to me is just terrible, not conducive to me trying to organize it. Basically what it does is it'll send me back responses to each individual question, and it'll show up in a column, but they're not in order. So I can't match up the responses. I can't say, okay, all of these responses are from one group, and especially when it's like how many seats are open. 3 people answered 0, so like who am I? I don't know what to. It's a total mess. I'm gonna definitely talk to Aaron about that and whoever else was part of committees. I see you. Just give me 1 sec. Whoever else was part of committees last semester, I'm going to talk to them, see if I'm missing anything, so that I can try to get what we have as up to date as possible, so we can start, fielding comments.
Never mind.
Okay, cool.
Zach,
Yeah, presuming that you're using Google Forms, then there should be an option to individualize responses. You might just have to check a box off.
Yeah.
On the other side of the committee stuff, for appointments, we're getting some people who are interested in joining committees. We don't really know whether those committees they want to join have any open spots. And yeah, like
exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, like already was mentioned, we also don't know who's in charge of a lot of the committees. So yeah, but we're taking in those responses and we're sending out applications, and so we should start doing interviews soon. So keep your eyes open for that.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't know if you all know this, but you have to go to a certain amount of those interviews per semester. How many? Do you know how many?
You're supposed to do 2 before and 2 after October break.
Yeah, so there has to be one of these 2 people here, and you guys have to each go to 4 of them.
So
there can be more than 2 people.
So expect some emails soon.
Okay. Yeah.
If you email Pam Pierlon, she should have the most up to date.
Oh, I totally forgot to email Pam Pierlon.
Maybe like more up to date contact information.
I'm gonna totally do that because I wrote down the name and then I lost the sheet of paper because I'm a bum. So I'll do that. I'll do that later. Thank you.
Sarah? No? Jordan? Did you have your hand up?
Ty, why don't you tell us about your committee?
We talked about the SFC a lot already. I'm just, I'm learning a lot. The review thing is obviously something that like we're dealing with, and just like stipends in general. What do you want to say, Nick? Just go for it.
Oh no, finish your thought, please.
No, I don't really have, I can tell you, we approved budgets for different or student organizations. I had my first ad hoc session from 1 to 5 today, so my Sunday student government days are great. But I don't think there's anything pressing for the Student Center right now, other than one thing that I want to talk to you about, Albert, is the Con Council. I'm assuming you know what
I
that is.
saw you sent emails at what you're referring to.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. But I think that Con Council is one student group on campus that we should form some type of working relationship with. Because I know that conservatory students go there for things that maybe we could also be helpful with.
Just a comment on that is that as a conservatory student, I'm not even aware of their existence. I saw an election, but there hasn't been.
Yes. Well, they're trying to get stipends. So.
Yes, they just got brought back last spring. It was like an official semi-functioning entity, so I think they'd like to serve as maybe not like an addition, but kind of their own separate con government thing, since we only have one con person, and so they're obviously more in tune with their pressing issues. So that's why they may not be up to speed for now. They just got started.
Right.
So very quickly, returning to the SFC review sort of thing, I think we should reach out to both of them and try to set up some sort of a meeting, have somebody mediate from Senate, some strong-willed person, because there clearly is a lot that they want to say to each other and probably that needs to be said to each other, and they need to figure out a way to work together. And this was the first half an hour of our plenary. We really had more to say. So I think if anyone is interested, this could maybe fall within like a task force.
I think it's my job.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, sorry.
No, that's totally fine. I will say that like there's been lots of dialogue back and forth between the two parties previously. Some of it not civil.
Yeah.
And I think it might be a place for the Oberlin Dialogue Center to send a mediator. I'm not sure. I also feel weird, just sort of about the issue because like I am technically the co-chair of the SFC.
Yeah.
So like
exactly.
And I have been, as I've been learning the way that the SFC process works, it's been from the SFC.
Yeah.
So it is hard for me as of now to properly balance student organizations' complaints about the SFC with me coming in, but I also feel confident that I can come in with like a fresh perspective. But also the SFC is in a very similar position as Student Senate is, as far as there's 2 returning members, 5 new ones. So like 2 of those people that were in here were not on SFC when any of these decisions were made. So a lot of their learning as well.
We do also have a SFC working group.
That is my job also.
Yeah, so I didn't, we don't need to go into it, I just wanted to bring that
Thank
up
you.
for sure, yeah.
Ben, you had a...
I was going to comment on that. I was going to say that like maybe like, I mean, because it sounds like they're going to go through the appeals process. So I think maybe we should hold off on like doing anything like for sure until we know like what's going on with that.
Yeah, and I didn't mean anything necessarily official, just reaching out to them, being like, hey, we heard you guys.
Last year there was only one appeal. It was submitted, and it's a big deal when it happens.
Yeah.
So it's not something student orgs enter into lightly. So I would be honestly surprised if it happened in this case.
Any other reports? Feelings on moving on? Okay. Next is working group reports, and we have we set up our working groups last week, and so any meetings and such. This can be done in any order, just by staff. George.
Yeah. So we had what we're now going to call, I think, the student engagement working group, which we've previously been referring to as communications. We met for the first time Thursday night, 8 to 9 p.m. at Azariah. It was myself, Anjali, Ty, and I'm blanking on your name.
Ben.
That person, Ben.
And Corey.
And Corey. So we talked about, I think most of the discussion was about our mission statement and like kind of what we feel our principles should be moving forward, and also like talking about new strategies. Anjali.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we also came up with sort of like a working list of what we were all gonna try to get accomplished for the immediate future in terms of communications and outreach. So, I mean, do you want me to run through the list of what we decided we want to do, or is that
would be helpful. You should
Okay.
do that.
So I decided that I would set up the Twitter page and the YouTube page. Ty communicated with the Oberlin Review, right?
I haven't done that yet, but I will.
Okay. You said you would
Fearless and Loathing.
Fearless and Loathing. Who
And
said
the grade.
The grade. Okay.
Yeah, I did that. Should I like elaborate on that or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I talked to editor for the Grape. They seemed open to us doing something for the Grape. And then I went to their meeting today, which was fine. I mean, I don't know, the editors seem to be a lot more open to it than like the writers of the Grape. I don't know that they're like super cool with the idea of like Student Senate publishing something in there. But I mean, like, it doesn't really matter. Like,
To elaborate on what that idea was, basically we're looking at this like 3-pronged sort of like traditional media strategy where like I think it would be great for us to get like some type of article published in the review, whether written by the review or an editorial, or not an editorial, or a letter to whatever by us, just about like, we are the new Student Senate, here's our goals for this year, here's how maybe we're going to try and be different than last year. I think having like a traditional article written that way in the review would be great. in the grade. We were looking to do something like funny, like maybe like a parody of like of voting on an email to send out chain. Just like there's a lot of funny things you could write about Student Senate that would kind of be a little bit self-denigrating, but could like foster some goodwill and like make people be like, oh, like the Student Senate, they're not bad guys. And then Fearless and Loathing, something to talk to about.
Oh yeah, we were gonna do Q&A, like interviews with each individual senator, or try to get like a sort of profile on who we are, where we stand on things, that sort of.
Or just also if like the person from Fearless and Loathing who's like in the plenary session taking minutes, like wants to ask people questions afterwards and like have like a post-interview about how they thought the meeting went, or just like what were the issues. I think that would be a cool way we can engage Fearless and Loathing. So that's like our traditional media thoughts.
The other important thing we discussed is less traditional media, social media, and trying to have a more active presence on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr. So we talked about a couple of different approaches.
Oh, right.
Some of them are a little bit more in the works, but I think for this meeting what we really need to talk about, and it's on the agenda for later, so we'll kind of bracket this.
I'm also going to bring up my Tumblr ideas. That's something, we'll see how it goes.
Is how we're going to organize new and more Facebook and Twitter activity around outreach coordinators.
The thought is we can like have an active Student Senate Facebook and Twitter that is not only like basically it's nothing right now, but there's lots of activity that goes on Facebook about students' ideas, about what students want to change on campus. I saw Nick Canavan, he posted on like Ali Amiri's thing about like wanting TJF to be on South Campus. Basically, this is just like a hub of student ideas, and we want Student Senate to be able to access it, and then also to like do it in sometimes a not 100% serious way. Like maybe when someone like says like Student Senate like sucks, whatever, we can be like, yeah, they're terrible. But also like here's what we do. Like there was an open session I saw that was like that. But there's this other issue of we want to stay accountable to the rest of the senators and not be putting things out on the internet that people are uncomfortable with. So we need to like make some type of protocol for that, and I think we can talk more about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get to the outreach working group discussion.
I was gonna say, I had an idea if you guys want to do for the Facebook thing, like similar to the profile thing, but instead of like substantive questions, just be like, put a picture of Ty making a funny face and be like, where are you from, and what's your ice cream?
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. We want all of the autonomy to get that done.
So like grape style staff.
Yeah, just like on Facebook.
We want things to be a little less serious, outward facing.
Zach. I probably should have told you this a while ago, but I reserved on Reddit, reddit.com/r/student senate.
That wasn't taken? That wasn't taken?
It was not taken. So the title is Oberlin Student Senate, but the URL is just Student Senate. So that is, I've not touched it. It's just empty. I'm a moderator. I can make any of you guys, I can make all of you guys moderators.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might also join your working group actually.
That's a good idea.
Well, I was going to say, I propose that like you have some sort of, I know there's students are supposed to propose questions or ideas through the Student Senate email account, but I think having a site specific for that, this might be answered by the Reddit thing, but having something that's like, this is where you can go if you want to shoot a quick little, because I think the Senate student account is kind of daunting. So just an idea.
Exactly. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I can make a new Reddit account. But for my working group, I sent out an email asking people to do it when it's good. Only Mahmoud did it. So based off his response, it's probably going to be Wednesday at 9.
Let's go.
So yeah, if you want me to take your opinion into consideration, you should fill that when it's good tonight.
That's financial accessibility.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zach.
I'd like it noted that Student Health Working Group just scheduled itself at 9 o'clock on Wednesdays. So I don't know if there's any crossover there, but I also had the same problem of lackluster when is good response.
I totally responded.
No, you did. 2 responses.
Alright.
It was lackluster. I didn't say it was non-existent. But so yeah, I just might have snagged that spot, so I don't know if there's crossover, if that's gonna cause major problems. but
Nick C
That's the only
is
thing.
on crossover. Megan is crossover. I think that's it.
I was interested in potentially joining that, so.
We'll,
If you guys can respond.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll respond to that.
Quick question. Right here.
Yes.
No.
No.
Okay. In regards to the South Campus Working Group, has that met yet? Is that one?
No, we were gonna get to that. We also sent out a when is good. I believe it's on. Did you have? No, Nolan has. Did Nolan have the account? Nolan had the account. Nolan is not here, so we'll check in. We got one response to the email that we sent out to a bunch. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about what we imagine South Campus Working Group to be. So we're both liaisons, South Campus liaisons, and running the working group. So we want them to function separately. Obviously, there's going to be common ground, but we want the working group to be specifically about the communities on South Campus. So by that, we really mean A House, Spanish House, Third World, and Baldwin. And am I forgetting any? No. That's so Asia House is another one, not geographically on South Campus. Thank you for bringing that up because I knew I was forgetting one. So J House is going to fall more under the liaison. So this is how we're splitting it up basically. So the liaison is going to be for sort of hubs of all kind. So that would include J House, that would include the Kosher Halal Co-op, that would include anything of that sort. But I don't know, maybe Megan can speak a little bit better to this. You have
What is Baldwin House? What is it like the hub of?
Women and transgender.
Okay, thank you.
So also the ELC and that.
Yes, the ELC. Yeah, I knew I was forgetting a bunch. So do you want to sort of?
Yeah. So we haven't heard. So we also are trying to organize a meeting with the MRC because we're trying to, like we've said earlier, we're trying to have our office hours there, and also brainstorming like workshop and event ideas that would probably be geared towards South Campus as well as liaison, and then the working group is kind of, all this talk of like being a civil servant is essentially enacting that. We have ideas for workshops and for events and things of that ilk, but we would rather have a meeting first and then hear and like act as something of a sounding board. So we had a really dismal response to that email with the one person being like, yeah, I have no time, like I'm not available for anything, but good job guys. Like verbatim. But yeah, so
I think our biggest challenge is just going to be networking, because the networks that we're trying to get together don't already really exist. So we're sort of having to like cut our own way. So it might be a slow process, but we're gonna just keep reaching out to people. Definitely want to talk about social media because that could be of a lot of help to us.
Yeah, one thing that we talked about in the outreach working group that really directly relates to that is we think like in order to get kids on these working groups, the right kids, well not the right kids because we want everyone, but kids that are really involved, we need to really be targeting our outreach. So like we really need like the visibility, South Campus people really figuring out who are the heads of these student organizations, right? And then same with everything else that we're doing for sexualized violence, for student health, for environmental stuff.
So how that directly relates to us, when we sent out an email with this what is good, we sent it out to the RAs of all of these houses, all these program houses. What we really want to do is be able to get them into a room and talk, but also have sort of a contact sheet. So it's like, so if you want a resource within one of these, if you're thinking about moving there and you want a resource that's not the Oberlin website or that's not somebody who works for the school, if you want to talk to somebody who lives there and has a leadership role there, here's the contact info. We had to dig. It took us a long time to get that info, and it's not laid out very well on the website. So we're hoping to be able to find a new venue for that.
Yeah, and we also reached out to the former South Campus / MRC liaisons, Kiki and Ari. So what we're trying to do with that is make sure that there's some sort of continuity and that the work that they started last semester / last year does not just get completely dropped in favor of our ideas. Like while we obviously like think innovative and like new ideas are important, it's also very crucial to maintain institutional memory and make sure that we are at least paying some attention to the concerns that were raised last year. But yeah, and then like if you guys want to know like specifically like what we've been thinking of and like some workshops or like ideas that we've been thinking of, like we can offer that information to you whenever you'd like.
Yeah, it's a whole lot, and we'll probably throw it all on a Google Doc and share it.
Okay.
You guys should totally read it.
Great, thanks.
So, yes, could you please introduce yourself?
Always. Let me stand up. Okay. Hi, I just couldn't see you all from back there, and I also like making a big deal about my boots. My name is Diami. I was third year. Oh my god, I was totally going to say second year. I use she, her, and hers. They, them, and theirs. Fine. You guys were on the topic of working groups, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. I sort of want to add more work to your lives, but I also did the referendum, so you get paid, so don't worry. Thank you. Yes, laughter. Oh my god. Okay. So I don't know if y'all have a athletics working group.
I'm starting it.
Okay. I did try to do that last semester, and it was awful. So, for like many reasons. So I'm with whoever is starting it, I guess Megan, maybe I should stop. But also like more than just Megan, because like athletics is a whole beast in itself, and I don't know if any of you, besides Mahmoud and Megan, are athletes. Nope. Or varsity athletes, excuse me, because everyone is an athlete. That's also true, but it's okay. Anyway, so varsity athletics is a beast in itself because the administration is really complicated.
You can curse, but
so Erica's looking at me like, what's she gonna say? But anyway, so the dirty deets are available, but I just would like to put a plug for a working group for athletics because it was a shit show last year, and I was really hurt by all the crap that I tried to do, and it did not work. And so I don't really want to add to your things, but at this point, I don't feel that me as like an individual who is also on a varsity team, like I'm not going to be listened to or taken seriously ever at all. And so having Senate do it, I think is a better way to go about it, because that has more pull than like I would, and it shows that like you all care about like the 380 athletes that we have on this campus and like the people who use Phillips, which should be everyone. So I just wanted to ask if that, I don't know how you guys would go about that, but yes.
I have some questions for you.
Yes.
Would
I'm gonna
you
sit down now because I have to sit.
So there are a couple ways that we can go about starting this. There could be a working group or there could be a task force. And if there's like a specific area of concern that you want to address, that will only like enact change over a short amount of time as opposed to like working towards a long-term goal. That would be something more along the lines of a task force. So let's say, for example, if you wanted to address like the fund for low-income students, student athletes, that would be a task force because you can get that done immediately. But if it was like a gender and equity concern or like a Title IX kind of thing, that would be something that I think is more appropriate and suitable for a working group. And I guess like to that end, like what issues specifically do you have in mind that you would like this group to focus on? I have a couple that I can contribute that are, like we've obviously talked about before, but I just want to hear like broadly like some talking points so that like when I organize this group, I can like send out a little blurb about what we'd like to do.
Yeah.
We have Sarah is.
Well, that kind of necessitates a direct response, yeah.
Okay, direct response.
We'll sit. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so I have a giant Google Doc of all the nice, beautiful emails that I articulated. And I have like a collection of all the notes from all of the meetings that I held last year as well. So I can just like share those with you. And that has like all of the points that we wanted to talk, or like most of the points of like what people would come to me with, and just things from like my own, like whatever, from like the year before also. So I would happily share them with you. I don't remember them because I haven't lived with them for a really long time. I sort of stopped trying after a while. But I'd be happy to share it either with all of Senate or just you, Megan. I don't really care which one. I think it's important for as many people to know as possible. So if y'all wanted to see it, like I would happily let all of you see it. So yeah, I think a working group is better because I think that the athletics administration has a lot of things to work on, and a task force would like let them get away with things the way that like they did with me previously. Like they did all these like trans allyship workshops for like all the teams, which I pushed for all of last year. But they like refuse to do like anti-racist workshops because they think that racism doesn't exist in athletics. So like things like that. So like those things like that could be task force oriented, but I also think that there's like something bigger going on that they like often skirt around. But I could just send those documents to you like as soon as I get back to my.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick clarifying question.
Yeah.
Can she share that doc with the Senate email and we can all access it? Okay. So we're senate@oberlin.edu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I
if you
email
should,
you all often.
yes. So if you share it with that, then we'll all be able to access it.
Great. Perfect.
Sarah.
So I know that SAC exists, and I was wondering if you wanted us to look for the working group to be more independent from SAC, or if you wanted us to lend our voices to SAC. And that's just a viewpoint question. SAC is the Student Athletes Advisory Council.
Oh, SAAC.
Yeah.
SAC.
So they put on like they put on SAC ball.
SAC ball.
Okay. Cool. Got it.
Classic.
But so that was just do you want to separate together?
So I've also been on SAC. I was on SAC my entire sophomore year, and I tried to do like, so I was working in 2 venues. I was like doing the working group, and I was doing the community service options too. And so I would like come at them with like really specific like ideas in mind, and they would just kind of like either reject them or like think I was really weird and like it wasn't relating to athletics. So I would suggest working separately, but coming to a SAC meeting every once in a while and reporting. Whether that be like you can send it to me and I can report to it, or like one of you all can, or whoever. Like we can have guests, but we just need notice ahead of time. Yeah.
Are you on SAC right now?
Mm-hmm.
Would there be, could that be a committee that a senator could sit on? Because we sit on committees. Would it be okay to like have the head of our working group also sit on the SAC committee?
All right, I'll do that.
I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have to.
I mean, so the thing is, SAC is like this body of students, but they're not super political. They organize things like homecoming and things like, that are like D3 week and stuff like that. They don't really do political things like this. We try to sometimes, and then it kind of just like gets pushed under the rug, or like Coach Hudson will say that he takes care of it. And like sending one member of the administration up against like 6 other admin is like not very conducive to change. So I would prefer that it would be separate, and then you have that overlap whenever it's convenient. So like inviting SAC and inviting all the athletes to go to this working group would be helpful. But I also think like because the athletics working group from last year, the point was to make it more accessible for everyone on this campus and outside of this campus. So like something like a sliding scale for gym membership for Phillips is not something that like only varsity athletes would be involved in. Get me? So it's like really complicated. We could like, I would be happy to meet with whoever's on Senate who's interested and explain all of that, because I don't want to take up a lot of your time here. But yeah, so it's a little bit more complicated. I would rather it be separate than SAC.
Well, but sorry, I guess I wasn't clear. Frequently, we have just one senator who will sit on committee, but they can also, the working group would then again be separate. I was just wondering if that would be like something that would really help communication. Like if we're really trying to pull in SAC, that might be useful. If we kind of want SAC to be on the periphery, I don't know.
I don't think it matters either way.
Okay.
I think we should have SAC on the periphery.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to check.
Oh, so are you thinking about a general faculty committee? This would be different. This isn't
Oh.
like a committee in a committee sense. This is just a side organization. So as many of us could get.
Zach? So, I'm sorry, who's going to be sharing this work? Are you sharing? Are you gonna share the working
I planned on having a working group anyway, and it's like in my little musings of Senate plans.
Would you be comfortable with me finding an Oskin varsity athlete to
I would love
join
that.
the group? Because I think it's an accessibility issue in and of itself, as an OSCA needs to provide for athletes, which is kind of sometimes difficult with other dietary needs, but also it's accessibility financial for the school, so I think it'd be a good idea.
I think absolutely, and I think exploring as many intersections as possible
Yeah,
that complicate
sure.
your involvement in
Okay.
student athletics would be important.
I don't think I can contribute to that working group at all. I think I have nothing good to contribute, but I will go to OSCA and I will try to find an Oskin varsity athlete.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Exactly. I'm sure I can think of a few.
A couple. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say.
Perfect.
I was just gonna say, it doesn't need to be in Oscar necessarily. If you can't find one, you can sit on it. But I'm sure there are student athletes who wish they could be in Oscar.
Yeah, that's
there it is.
That's another.
So,
And therein lies
so there you go.
Not a bad idea.
I have just a very quick bookkeeping question. Is Carter McAdams correct as the chair/contact person for the athletics committee?
For the GFAC, once upon a time he was. Mahmoud and I were on that like 2 years ago. Yeah.
If you email Natalie.
Was that the guy who didn't let me go to the meeting because I wasn't?
Yes.
Oh, that's really sweet. We should also transparently talk about that.
So I don't even know if this dude is still involved because again,
It wasn't.
my stuff is very out of date. I'm wondering, so I don't have specifically.
I think Natalie Winkelfuss would be the go-to because Carter is just a theater or something like that professor, and like the whole point is that you would get professors from like very different departments to talk about the ways in which like athletics affect their students. So like while we were sitting on it, there was like a professor from the con or two theater professors, and then like a handful of like administrators within athletics. So it was kind of really inclusive, but I do think like Carter would not be the person to go to. I think it would be Natalie Winkelfuss.
So I have athletics committee here. Is that the same as SAC?
No.
Okay, that's a different entity.
That's GFAC.
Okay, because I don't have so I'm on the committee list, the master document, and I don't have SAC on here, SAAC.
This is the list of general faculty committees. This is not, SAC is not a committee in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah, because SAC is a student org.
Okay.
I'm just going to propose that we table this particular discussion for now because it seems like something that people who are interested need to discuss, not necessarily Senate as a whole. General feelings or a vote, or I don't know what happens now.
General feelings.
General feelings on table this issue.
Cool. Great.
I have a clarifying question. Sorry, do we need to propose a new working group and vote on it?
Yes.
Okay. So would we do that during decisions?
Yeah, let's do that during decisions.
Okay.
Okay.
Although that is next.
Or you can do it.
We can do it now?
Just do it.
What
Then
are you
just go
guys
for
gonna
it.
do? Okay, I would like to propose a working group for varsity athletics specifically. Some of the things that we would like to focus on: gender equity in athletics, specifically the new locker rooms and how like men's football have like 60-inch plasma screens in theirs, and benches and things of that sort, and are provided with lots of amenities that are what I think is luxuries because they're not provided to other teams like women's sports. So that's one thing that I would like to focus on with this. Financial accessibility is obviously a huge issue. Athletics, as it stands, is not terribly accessible to low-income students. That being said, there's so many hidden costs of being a student athlete, such as training trips, apparel, gear, practice-related expenses. And these are huge parts of being a student athlete. So let's say if your team gets a team hoodie or something like that, or a team bag, and it's $50 for the bag and $50 for the hoodie, that's $100 that is not included in your financial aid, that is not included or incorporated in the budget for your team. Yet this is an expense that you're expected to come out of pocket for because otherwise you will not be a part of that culture. And that's really unfair to low-income students, and something I'd like to do is start a fund. And that could be in the form of a task force taken on by this working group. But the fund would be for low-income students, and just to update on that, I'm really pushing my field hockey team that Diami and I are on to donate some money that was raised by a SCO event to this fund And that's pretty much where we stand right now. And so I want this thing to happen. Those
Working title would be athletics or athletics?
Varsity Athletics Working Group.
Varsity athletics.
There can be as many, oh, sorry, clarify question. There can be as many working groups as we want? Okay, great.
Technically, the bylaws limit us to 10.
Wow.
But later I want to propose not amendments, but to the task force for revisions, so that can be addressed.
How many working groups do we currently have?
Let's say 25.
We have 11, and then this would be number 12.
Oh, okay.
Can we
Dang.
just amend them?
So we have to do that first.
Yes.
So we have to amend them first and then they have.
Okay.
Technically, we're working outside the bylaws at this point with having 11.
We currently have 11?
Yes.
So we need
And
to
it
get
was
rid
not-
of one. We need to do something.
Yeah.
Or we could just raise the debt ceiling. Let's just push it.
Debt ceiling. I can't.
Spend more money.
Okay. Well, Nick, you did this last time.
Yes.
How do we write it?
Okay, so the way that you write changes to the bylaws is you basically copy and paste into a document the original language of the bylaws, so the old text of, you only need to do whatever pieces you're changing. So like whichever little rule or whatever you're changing, you only need to do that.
Right.
And then you do that, and then you put it next to the new bylaw change with any change that you make in red. And you can do this in a Word document and then pass it out to email it out to everyone.
Real quick question. Could you just go through the list, just read them out, and let's just make sure all the working groups have at least met or have at least discussed meetings so far? Because I wonder if there are any that exist that no one has even talked about yet. Just for bookkeeping, I suppose.
Yeah, I was actually brought that up on the agenda would be if now and also maybe if each could send an email to me so I could update the website would be the chairs, if the chair's been decided in a working group, if any added members, because currently I have the senators that are on the working groups, and the meeting time and place so I could put that publicly. Sarah?
Also, when do we still have a Fagerstrom fund?
Well,
No? What?
So then, okay, we should just vote to abolish that then.
what is it?
The Student Senate Speaker Series, which was funded by the Fagerstrom Fund, is supposed to exist according to our current bylaws, but if we don't have a fund.
So the fund doesn't exist?
The guy called us 2 years ago and said that he's broke and so he can't fund anymore.
So we can get to that. We can get to fixing all the bylaws with the ridiculous outdated.
Yeah, is that a task force already?
Yeah. It's going, yes.
But
so that working group's already been removed from the bylaws by a decision that that's when we created the Oberlin Operations Working Group. That working group replaced the Fagerstrom, or at least we got rid of the Fagerstrom while we created that new one. So that one's done. That was a decision made by Senate last spring.
that hasn't.
Rest in peace.
That just hasn't been done.
So do I have to, clarify question, do I have to copy and paste this, do the red thing, and then propose it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus, okay.
That's bureaucracy.
Will you do it, Sarah?
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
I
Thank
do
you.
that.
So just to clarify, we're pushing it up. What are we pushing it up to? A higher number?
15?
You want to call it 15?
Why do we need
Why do we need a
limit?
limit? Why do we need a limit?
Well, we don't need a limit.
Someone
I guess.
draws algorithms where the
Direct
limit does not
response.
exist.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with, from working in other organizations and just the general history of Senate, is that the more working groups there are, the more we're each involved in working groups.
Right.
And while it's great that we're all really enthusiastic about things, if we can't sleep, eat, do schoolwork, that's a problem. So I'm guessing the limit was to prevent us from going insane. I would be down for 15.
Yeah.
So I think that like we should always be checking in to make sure that these groups are actually happening, because if one of them isn't, then, you know, what I mean is I think this is going to be sort of a self-selecting process. I think there's no reason to limit ourselves to having 10 at the outset. We could propose 25, and by the time everything gets weeded out, we could have 10 or 12 or whatever. But I don't think we should. I don't think there's a real like need to limit ourselves within the bylaws unless that's stipulated by the Constitution, and I don't know the answer to that.
In a brief search, apparently not.
Okay.
Working groups are established by the Constitution as something we can do, but not limited by the Constitution.
Got it.
So my guess is the reason there's a limit is to insulate Senate from people like from the student body demanding a working group for every problem is my guess.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's like justified or unjustified, but if I were to guess, I don't think it's like to insulate ourselves from ourselves. It's to stop every student issue or every student who comes before us and asks, like, if for example as SOC in review asked for a working group today on, like, we could have said we have a limit and we're at the limit. So I think that's the use, is that kind of insulates us from like student demands for a working group for every issue. So I think it might make sense just to set one, even if it's arbitrary.
Yeah.
Just so if we run up against it, then we run up against it. We can say we run up against it.
Propose 16, which would be if Senate was full, one for every senator.
Oh, I think
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's good.
Cool.
Cool.
Are there really 16
What?
senators?
Wait,
Or 15?
15.
My bad.
15.
Yeah.
Can we do general feelings on that? I guess.
Okay, I'll write the language.
15.
15.
Yeah.
So,
I
as
propose it.
And then did you?
you have amendment.
You have it? Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm working on
When you
it.
get there.
So
Alright, well.
You guys should keep going.
yeah, do we want to move forward on the varsity athletics proposal?
Well, I mean, we can't until
Oh, we
she's
can't
done,
until okay.
So
Cool.
let's just
Cool.
move on for now.
Make it
Do anything else?
So I move to table this process to the end of part 9 discussions. Or part 8, rather.
Yeah.
Decisions.
Great.
General feelings. Okay, moving on to part 8, decisions.
I just have a quick question. Sorry. For task forces, for the referendum, I'm on the referendum task force. Do I need bi-weekly meetings for that? Because I think I could efficiently accomplish it just through like periodic asking people to help me distribute flyers or sending out emails, but I still need like meetings for that.
I don't think task force.
Like, is
I
this
don't
in the
think task force-
bylaws?
task
It's not a
force is
mandatory
really-
thing.
Yeah, I know.
It's just
Okay.
have a police officers needs meetings.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Could you send me information?
Yeah.
Along the lines that this should be a task force
Sure.
meeting. Part 8, decisions. Committee assignments.
We
still don't know.
can't do anything.
I'm gonna email. Can I let me get the spelling of her name one more time? What is it?
PAMPIERRON.
Yeah.
What's her role?
I also
So
have
another
it
guy
if you-
might be
you know,
helpful.
Okay.
So like other guy, his name is AARONAPPER.
You think you're funny, Mahmoud?
So in relation to like assigning people to committees, like non-senators, like I said earlier, we have people who are interested in committees, so yeah, expect emails about interviews.
Yeah.
Not that many, but there are some.
Yeah.
Did you guys send them the application forms?
Yeah. We're just waiting on responses to those. We're waiting for them to send the applications back so we can schedule interviews.
We have a proposal.
Yeah, a quick proposal to table the committee discussion until we have an accurate list of all of the committees
Yeah.
and positions open,
I'm
whatever
gonna be
that is.
I'm gonna be working hard, and I can email preliminary information so that you guys, if it says on my info that there's one seat open or whatever, you can then email directly the person who it says is the contact, which may or may not be, and you can specifically ask them,
Yeah.
is there space, so that if individuals want to take the initiative, they can, and they're not limited to my, the sluggish process by which this is going to get accurate. Yeah.
Brief comment.
Yeah, just like maybe your Google form problems can be fixed. Maybe so. Maybe if someone here in this room feels comfortable, maybe Zach, I don't know.
I also, yeah.
If someone feels like they can make those responses individualized, that
Yeah.
could be massively helpful.
I also think Aaron used this last year, so I can talk to him about how. We'll chat. We'll chat in a bit. I also got an email from one of the people who I emailed. I got a response that said that she was unable to access the form, but she was using her personal email. So can I like give her permission, or does she, is there any like? I can just tell her to do that.
Direct
or-
response in the bank.
So that happened last year at one point, I think the library committee, and I granted access, and then the person ended up writing over all of the questions with their answers.
Oh no, you granted permission to edit?
Well, maybe, whatever. I go through a separate thing to like view the file, and not everybody knows how to do that. Whereas if you just say like, please use your oberlin.edu.
Yeah, I'll just send that then.
Also, I sort of have a clarifying question.
Yeah.
So, right now, are you saying that you haven't appointed people like senators to committees yet?
No.
And you're suggesting to table that appointment until you have a complete or somewhat complete list from responses from the committee chairs?
Yes.
In all honesty, that will take weeks.
Right.
Do you, as senators, not want to be at least like we have an idea of some committees that are open, like for instance, the EPDC should have a senator, in my opinion. But like other committees like that, like we know we've had a relationship with them in the past. We know they might be accepting students. If we want to take some initial want to take some initial movements on that, I feel like otherwise it's going to be a standstill for a long time.
Yeah, so we should talk at some point outside of this meeting. All four of us, in fact, sit down with all the Google Docs and all of the Google Docs.
There are a lot of those.
There are a lot of Google Docs, and
there are a lot missing too.
Exactly. So we should really sit down and have like a bookkeeping marathon. And maybe I will pester these people every week until I get a response. I will send them out an email and say, hey, fill out this form. Hey, fill out. I will go to where they live at. Okay. But what I want to do with us meeting is try to get as accurate information as we can, so that we can give it to all of you guys, so that you can move forward on whatever individual things you want to go on.
What was the last thing?
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so for right now, I think what you said is good. Just like if there's anything you know for sure that happened to not be filled, just send an email to Senate and we'll try to fill them as best we can, get as many seats filled as we can fill at this moment, and fill everything else out when we have more complete information. How do you guys feel about that?
General feeling? So then, we had a proposal to table the committee assignments to the next meeting, or?
I mean, unless there's anybody in here who can tell me specifically, I want to be on this specific committee, and then I can specifically email that person and hope for a response. Or you can.
Well, I get the sense that people don't really have knowledge of which ones are open, so are there ones that we know for sure we've gotten a response back?
I've gotten 11 responses at this point. I have no way of sorting through them because of the way the information is presented to me. And that's just I can explain that to you in greater detail, but it's very, very difficult for me to get an idea. Basically, I'm getting all of the responses, but they're not organized in any way. So I have all the responses in front of me, but it doesn't show which response is by which person. So I have a whole list of 2s and 0s and 1s under how many seats are open, but I have no idea what those numbers correspond to.
Aaron, you know some are open, right? Like you said, EPPC.
Yeah, the EPDC has 1 more spot. The assessment committee has 2 more spots. Also, I have no idea what the hell happened to that Google form, and I'm sorry if I made a mistake along the line, because it worked perfectly well last semester.
So we should meet tomorrow, if possible. I don't know if that's possible.
We'll try to figure something out.
We'll talk after this. I feel like there's not a whole lot that I can do right now, which is frustrating, and I want to I want to be able to tell you guys accurate information, but I just So I think we can table this for now, and I will make a promise that I will email you some sort of update during this week. I will get some sort of concrete information out to all of you guys.
So as a rule, I guess we can really only table to the next meeting and continually table it as needed. So the motion is to table.
Well, table it sort of. Like, you know what I mean? Because like if you know.
That's what it is, but then we're just.
Just table it for a week now.
Discussion is finished.
Yes.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen.
Closing discussion and moving on. General feelings. Okay. Well, the working groups, actually I put kind of in two places because it seemed like at once it's a report and at the second time a decision, whether or not decisions on chairs of working groups need to be made here. But it seems best that that could be done at the working group meetings and just communicated to the Senate and to me so I can put that information on the website. However, has the bylaw been prepared?
Yeah, I sent it out.
Yeah, she just sent it.
On the subject of working groups, I do think it would be nice to do Anjali's idea of just reading through the working groups and making sure everybody's clear what working groups they're on, who's chairing that. Like maybe we can't decide the chair, but just like make sure these are things that are
Point person.
These things are all happening. A point person to at least set up the first meeting that needs to be assigned.
Okay.
I will read the list of working groups and the members there to for student health.
Wait, sorry. This is also available on the Fearless and Loathing website because they like took really diligent notes of our last meeting, and that's how I checked which groups I was a part of.
It's also
just
available
letting you
on
know.
our website.
It's also that.
Yeah.
But just saying.
Yeah, but we may as well just read them out.
Yeah.
Just
go for it.
Student health with Justin, Sarah, Zach, Nick C, Megan, and Nolan. The point person was
Me.
It was Sarah.
Resident working group was Megan, Nick O, and myself, Albert. And Nick, you're the point person.
For now.
For now.
We're working it.
We'll decide when we meet. Student EMT working group Sarah and Nick O.
Yes.
And
I'm point.
financial accessibility was Megan, Ty, Zachary, Nick C, and Lockwood. The point person
was more Zachary.
Communications, which has that been renamed?
Yes. Student engagement.
Student engagement.
Why can't we do that? Why can't we come up with a name?
Student engagement committee working group rather. Anjali, Ty, Ben, Corey, Megan, and Jordan. Point person.
I sent the first email, but I don't know if I'd necessarily call myself a point person. But
Do you want to be part of this?
sure, I'll be.
At your next meeting.
Yeah,
you're-
I'll just set up the next one.
And just the chair.
No, sure, we can figure it out.
Nolan was the environmental sustainability person, and he's not here tonight. But he, is de facto point person. South Campus Working Group, has that been renamed?
That's probably going to be first order of business when we get them together. Yeah, that's so. The name is good for now. We'll update you. I guess.
And that was Zach, Nick C, Anjali, and Megan.
Yeah.
And are you co-point people or?
Yeah, I
or
guess so.
Megan?
Unless, so you're going to probably be point person for at least one other.
Yeah.
So
right now I'm not.
I can take on. I sent out the email from my account for the what is good, so when is good or whatever.
I don't think I got that.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
I like.
Oh yeah, no, we totally messed up and didn't include you guys, so we're gonna forward it to you. My bad. No, we had like it was great. We had this whole list. Oh, we're gonna send it to these RAs, blah blah blah, all these people, and then we just forgot about the senators that were in it too. So my bad.
Totally.
We'll forward that to you guys. So that was from my account, so you can list me as the point person if you like. But it'll probably it'll be me and Megan together.
Sustainable Transportation Working Group with Nolan, Justin, and Ben. Has this met?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. I didn't get. I think
No,
Nolan
it
said
hasn't.
he was-
I think we had agreed that Nolan would take point.
Yeah.
Because he was on it.
I'll shoot him an email.
Yes.
So I'm on that working group too, or I chaired it last semester. It meets every other week. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. in the Oberlin Public Library. And our next meeting is the 14th. So that's the meeting, and that's.
Email that to me.
Yeah,
please.
actually, I have a blurb that I sent to Norman to read, but I can just forward it to you.
Thank you. Then I can.
Wait, so where is it? It's every
Tuesday, 1 p.m. at
Every
the
other
public
Tuesday.
library.
every other Tuesday at the public library.
Yeah.
Did I say every Tuesday?
Hey, wait, who's interested right here?
Justin and Ben.
Anjali
And Nolan.
Yeah.
The Student Finance Committee Working Group was Malcolm and Ty,
Yeah.
who are over here.
Say that one more time. Oh, yeah, SFC.
SFC Committee, and Ty is you're the chair by rule, right? So
Might as well CC Monk Dude as well. I think we might
We did a lot of finance.
My job.
We did already.
The Transparency Working Group was Ben, Megan, Corey, Jordan, and Nick O. Transparency.
We have not met. No one's taken point. If I can take point with that, if
Am I on the transparency working group?
No.
I would like to be added.
okay.
Thank you.
Albert, can you read the list again of that?
Transparency is yourself, Ben, Megan, Corey, Jordan, Nick O, and now Ty.
Yes.
The Sexualized Violence Working Group, Megan, Zach, Nick O, and Nick C.
I got that. One's good.
Yeah. Okay.
I responded to that.
So
I'm pointy for that one.
You're pointy.
I'm the pointy for that one. Should I talk about what our plans are or what's going on?
I think we're just making sure that
Yeah,
each group has someone who's taking charge.
That would be.
And then everyone knows which groups they're in.
Yeah.
I just sent. Did you get the email?
Let me see.
So currently, the new working group being formed is the Varsity Athletics Working Group, pending our bylaw amendment. Is the amendment proposal ready?
Sarah.
It's been ready.
Great.
Did you send it out?
Yeah.
It's been sent out for the past like 20 minutes.
I didn't get anything.
I sent it out to senators.
That's one of me. I'm one of those. I didn't get one.
Oh no, you did.
Here we go. New bylaw.
Yeah, did you get Mahmoud's listserv email?
Yeah.
You couldn't have done any better. Old. Okay. Great, guys.
Yeah. How do you? So what? Do you just reply? I vote yes.
I mean, we can just vote right here.
Oh, okay.
Just look at it. I got rid of the entire thing about that whole working group that
Oh.
doesn't exist anymore.
Sweet. Okay.
Okay, great.
Can we? So how do we?
Then I changed that.
Yeah. Who wants to make a proposal?
I'll do it because it's my proposal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I propose that we change the bylaws from what they were, on the working group bylaws from what they were to what I amended, which was raising the working group cap and getting rid of the mandatory working group that doesn't exist. So all in favor?
We have to raise
You have to vote, guys.
Oh.
So,
I have a
On the-
clarifying question.
okay.
Clarifying question.
Are we limiting?
Someone creating the new working group. Yeah, pretty fun.
Are we eliminating the cap, or are we
No, we
raising it to
can-
15?
We're getting rid of the figures.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All abstaining or recused? Please vote. There being none, the motion carries. And so the bylaws are now amended. These changes will now be posted later on the bylaws page on our website. As such proposal.
I'd like to propose a varsity athletics working group.
Is this a hand vote or a?
Hand
vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There being none. Recusals? Abstentions?
Do I recuse?
No.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you're
there
good
you go.
for that.
You're not voting on yourself this time.
But am I? I don't know.
No, not directly.
Okay.
It's like
I mean,
this.
you're always voting.
There's kind of a conflict.
I have a process suggesting add upcoming events discussions
Pull that
to discussions.
Coming events discussions.
Hey Jordan, what's your last name?
Ecker. ECK.
This is getting messy.
Well, you can just email. Oh no, wait, yes, you can't. It's a listserv, but you can't. I lied.
Process suggestion?
When we talk about effort for bylaw revisions, then we also talk about that other task force.
Task force for the referendum.
Yeah,
That's all.
We get like a report back.
Oh, for a report.
Yeah.
So really, we should have a section of the agenda for it, so discussion, we'll have to add it down.
Why don't you just add a slash and say like task force provision slash task force for the other one? Yeah. Just make your life a little easier.
We will move down. Okay, so the amendments have passed, and we now have the athletics. So members for the varsity athletics.
I'd like to take a point on that.
Megan for point. Buckland.
Yeah.
Any others?
Please.
Sports are fun. They keep you healthy.
All right. Tentatively, Mr. Zach.
I think I'm gonna next talk to Oscar about starting an Oscar working group. So I don't know if I should do this.
That's fine.
I guess I'll join it.
I mean,
we don't need to have that many senators on each board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
There's
I
two
mean, Mark and I
senators
can
on
handle
board.
it, but like, it would be cool to have like a non-athlete student senator.
I'll do it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I have to dip out of here, y'all. But I love you all dearly. And I will check the minutes and stuff. I emailed you.
Fabulous. Oh, wait.
I know, right?
Speaking of minutes.
Yeah, I know I screwed up. So I'm gonna do this tonight. I'm recording today. I'll get you both sound files by the end of the night. Sorry about that.
I should have wrote you a note about it. But
Yeah, I think nothing really juicy has happened here, so I don't know if anyone's.
I mean, the first segment's really juicy.
I'm joking. I'm gonna send him along.
we are compelled to have the minutes go up in a reasonable time.
Yeah.
But it's a new process. It's not written minutes, it's recorded minutes, so a bit of leeway perhaps.
Yeah, I will get them to you.
I'm actually, as operations officer, just gonna go ahead and make a proposal right now. This is the only time we'll do this. Since we are 14 new senators and it is the first week, I would like to propose that I have about 15 points at this point that are going to be assigned at the end of this plenary. And I will propose that none of those go through.
What are they?
I have 3 senators who were tardy or not in attendance, 1 who left early, minutes didn't go up, and I didn't get 24 hours notice for any of what I just listed. So if you guys are okay with that, because I know that not everyone's clear with process, I want to sign them. If you guys want them assigned, like I said, this is the only time I'm willing to do this, but it is the first week.
Clarify. So you're proposing not to assign that because it's the first week.
Yeah. And that policy will end at the end of this plenary.
Clarify.
So I know Nolan at least was sick and provided notice when he became aware that he was sick.
He didn't email me at all, though.
He
emailed the senator.
Or yeah.
Like emailed all of us.
He emailed.
I read an email somewhere.
He emailed the
I
Senate
remember
account.
reading something about Nolan
I
being
think he emailed the
sick.
Senate account, but not the senator's listserv.
Yeah.
The Senate account?
The Senate account.
I use
Senators.
You're not one of the senators I'm counting on.
I don't know. You're
fine.
Yeah.
I definitely remember seeing something about it.
I have not.
I didn't do that either.
President Simpson.
He definitely did.
Anyway, can we just vote on her thing?
The proposal is on the table. If you guys are comfortable with that, that's what I'd like to do. But again, you guys are here to keep me in check as well. So,
General feelings on moving to a vote.
Well, why don't you just propose
Sure.
a vote? You don't have a
Well,
vote.
we got some comments.
Well, I want to just say we also don't have time cards in, so it just kind of, it doesn't make sense to assign points since you can't really keep check of that stuff.
right. So again, first week, we don't have time cards. I also can't check those. So, y'all could have done nothing all weekend. No.
So a vote on this proposal. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? abstentions.
Yeah, thanks.
Do better. Do better.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah, again, guys, 24 hours notice for anything. That means leaving late, or coming late, leaving early, and not being here. If you're sick, like, I understand that it's not 24 hours, but that needs to go directly to me. I'm not gonna check the Senate email every 15 minutes to, like, make sure y'all are done. Yeah.
So for working groups, we will put those on our time cards. And
Oh
that's-
yeah. Also, Angeli, I need those by 4 p.m. on Sundays. I need notes from your working group if you meet.
Oh, you
That's
need
the-
notes from my working group?
Yeah.
Oh, I just sent them to him, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, no.
So yeah.
Do you send them to both?
Yeah, do you send them to both of
You should do both because he puts them online and she checks for accountabilities.
Ah,
It'll just make it
I
easy.
see. And also, we don't have time cards anymore.
No.
Okay, just
he's-
clarifying,
he's-
because I thought you were like, okay, never mind. I thought I was being slacker.
No.
We didn't have
Just prove that.
Slacker. Are we moving on?
I'm lost, I'm sorry.
Where were we?
We were just
Where
on
were
break.
We just finished.
We just finished,
That was,
Are we done with discussions? Or
We
going
just-
to discussion?
We just finished working groups.
yeah,
somehow.
now we're on outreach.
Yeah, so I guess we were sort of already having this discussion, but
Yeah.
we just wanted to make sure that people felt comfortable with us or the outreach
Yeah.
committee,
Yeah.
coordinators, posting on social media on behalf of the student senate, mostly because like we have this very strict protocol for emails. And so we just want to make sure people were okay with us doing this, and if not, opening up discussions of procedures for when we post on social media.
the stack is starting here.
Okay.
Oh, do you have a clarifying question?
I have a clarifying statement. I think also Mahmoud and I are also on the approved people to like function within this, the Senate Facebook page.
Okay.
So just
Yeah.
for clarifying. Yeah.
First, I would just like to say that the outreach coordinators already sort of have autonomy, but what I was suggesting is that every senator will have maybe like 3 vetoes, so no matter what we put up, if you don't like it, just email one of us or text one of us, and it'll go down, no questions asked, you have veto powers for 3 things that you think are just not funny or bad or just offensive, whatever.
Clarifying question.
Yeah.
Why 3? That seems sort of arbitrary to me. Can you kind of explain the rationale behind that?
Just because, like, I don't know, because I just think it's to like keep it in check, just so I'm not like, constantly removing everything. Because like,
But why? I don't think senators are going to be abusing that power, and I think people that are going to ask for that are
Okay.
going to have
Okay, I was
a
just
rational
thinking-
explanation. I just
No, it was arbitrary. I was just-
No, I'm not. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I would just.
If I, sorry to interrupt, but I feel that this is more than a clarifying question.
Sure, I'm
So
sorry,
you might
yeah.
mind
That's
just burning the stack. Sarah, you were next on the stack.
I was just gonna say that I think that outreach should be able to do whatever they want within reason as far as logistical things. I think that there's gonna be an obvious line of when you start posting, like, which you won't be, but like if you post an opinion, that is not speaking for Senate, that is an opinion. So if you're like, plenary is at 7 every Sunday, that is a fact, that is a logistical thing, you have complete autonomy. If you're like, plenary is the only time I'm happy on campus, which I really hope it's not, that is an opinion and you don't speak for Senate. So like that's like my policy as far as you guys having autonomy.
Direct response, just because we're trying to move towards a funner, more interesting, more engaging like Senate, and especially in outreach, not everything we're going to be saying is going to be factual. A lot of it's going to be like maybe like pictures or like jokes, or not like super funny jokes necessarily, but like, I mean, because we're trying not to be so like horrendously boring. So that's why I'm giving you guys veto powers, because I just think that like if I post something that's just like not funny or interesting or engaging or in any way interesting, then you guys can just text me and be like, yo, that was a terrible idea, take it down. But like, I do not want everything that Senate posts to be just factual and logistic.
Our
Direct response.
direct response? Okay.
I'd like to again clarify that like I guess even jokes can be very clearly not like actual but unopinionated.
Nonpartisan.
Like, just, yeah, if it's anything more than a panda falling off a slide, probably don't do it. If it's a panda falling off a slide, it's
Or
great.
direct response is what I'm trying to do.
It
Well, like what you just said about like plenary is the only time I'm
Yeah.
happy. That sounds like a hilarious thing to put when you're advertising a plenary. Like it's
Yeah,
tongue in
that's what I
cheek,
was
it's like a
just
joke.
thinking.
So like that your example of something that would not be acceptable. I think when we were thinking as an outreach committee, that's like the exact kind of thing that we want to do. So there might be some.
Yeah.
Resuming stack, our second Zach, Justin, Jordan, Mock, and Zach.
I think whatever the outreach working group wants to do and control social media is reasonable. In the past, and traditionally, I've seen when you post something to a collective Facebook page or whatnot, you initial it at the end, so you put like -ZC, and that seems reasonable and something to make this discussion shorter. That's all.
Oh, wait, sorry. No, I really did not understand that for a second. So wait, so like every time, let's say I post something on Twitter, I would just write AK at the bottom? Is that what you're trying to say? Just to, no, not like a bad thing, I'm just curious. Okay, thank you.
I was going to say just in that vein, I think I wouldn't necessarily say that we should take like necessary approval from everyone whenever you post something.
Yeah.
I think there's some sort of like implicit trust that you guys are going to be always acting in like the best interest.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also necessary to reserve like that veto power.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say move towards like needing approval for things. I think I would trust you guys to do that.
Mhm.
I do think there should be power that like if something is not in the best interest of Senate, that there's like the right to be asked to take that down.
Okay. Yeah, no. Totally.
Sure.
I think most of what I had to say is repetitious.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Zach, did you want to return to the?
Yeah, I was gonna basically say the same thing. I just want to get behind. If anyone is uncomfortable with anything that you guys post, I think you should take it down. That's just that's all I want to.
So you guys are chill with basically the outreach coordinators and the communications working group handling that on a fairly autonomous basis? Very general feelings, I guess.
I propose that this be an understood function of the aforementioned group.
I mean, yeah, it is in our description. It is what we do, and like technically speaking, we don't need but like I want it.
General feelings.
I just want to say one thing. I think that as the outreach coordinators and communications people, I think whenever you do post something, you should send an email. You, whoever's doing it, should send an email to the listserv. Because everyone should, just because you don't see something on the, like, you can't expect people to be checking all the things. So I think when we do post something, you should send out an email.
That's a lot of emails, though.
Yeah, that's a lot of emails. Cause
Maybe just
I'm
like for a
posting
day,
lot.
like everything you post in a single day, send just like a summary.
Okay.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Or we do like a week.
Yeah, or a week. I mean, I don't know how often people are gonna
Yeah, because I'm not necessarily gonna do it every
If
day.
people are reading Facebook, we should all have the page liked.
Yeah, you would hope. Can we just sort of also have it be understood that we're going to be keeping up on this, since we are, this is supposed to be the voice of all of us, so
Yeah.
we should always be looking at it to make sure
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
Want you to be.
exactly.
Yeah.
So can we also have it just sort of be implicitly understood that we're always checking it, and if any of us have an individual issue, we know that we can levy it, we can let you guys know,
Yeah.
and that you'll respect where
Yeah.
we're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I'd recommend also that we look into Twitter a little more because I think that's where the greater opportunity is. 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of people go on Facebook and I think like, I don't know, just Twitter, like the way you retweet things and like it's just the way that people share information these days. It's kind of
Yeah, that's why I'm very excited.
Oh God!
Said it on your
That's a kid.
General feelings of moving on to the next order of business.
Oh wait, This, yes, but no,
Do you
yes.
vote? Do you vote?
No. This is a different thing. Is that okay?
Well, we're moving on from the decisions. I believe that we're done.
Oh, I thought.
Under decisions.
Oh, I thought that was a discussion anyway. Okay.
Well, it's kind of.
What do you want to talk about?
Okay, well, thank you. So I was thinking, I don't know how many of you know about selfies with Marv, but okay, everyone who's in the communications working group with me knows what I'm talking about. But I'm thinking about doing like a selfies with Senate Tumblr page, and I just want like sort of general feelings about like, is that horrible? Is that an invasion of your privacy? Yeah, go.
Please, please tell us what this is, though.
It's bad to assume you all know what selfies with Marv is. Okay, so selfies with Marv is basically where you take selfies with the president of our college, and like you send them to the Tumblr, and then they upload them.
Okay.
He's usually in the background somewhere.
Yeah, he's usually in the background.
Or like
but I imagine
driving.
as students, they'll probably just come up to us and be like, "Let's take a selfie." It'll probably, it'll probably be less lame. Anyways, So I was thinking maybe like a Senate page. I would moderate it so I wouldn't put up anything like super embarrassing for us. Like if it's just not something for the internet, I wouldn't put it up, obviously. But
we don't want to be like too aggressive about it.
no, I don't. It doesn't have to be perfect. But I mean, like if you are not wearing any clothing in the background of the photo, I will not put it up.
That's what's investing.
So you want us to take this ourselves and send it to you?
No. I just mean like, because this is basically your privacy. This is your life outside of Senate. I just want.
I don't think that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say, in terms of like this being like, if someone stops you on your way to class and is like, "Hey, let's take a selfie," are you guys like horribly opposed to that?
I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
Okay.
I like my privacy. What little privacy I have on this small campus.
Alright.
Marv does not live here with us. He lives a little off campus, and like,
Okay.
he also just doesn't hang out in public. Like Marv isn't chilling on Wilder Bowl frequently. I am.
Teacher I have could get a little.
Yeah, it's just
problematic.
not trying to know. I'm gonna.
I understand what you're saying, Sarah. I totally. I think that this is like really theoretical. I don't know. Like we need to talk about how we're actually going to implement this. If we are going to implement this, I like kind of thought it was our understanding, like at the communications working group, that we're going to like talk about this more, figure out more of how we were going to do this before we brought it up to the group. So I would say.
Okay, no, we can table it. I just wanted to know general feelings more than anything
Totally
else.
fair.
Mine is irrelevant now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a selfies with Eric going. He's our sponsor.
So general feelings on moving from this. Next in discussion, local levy for metro parks.
So as you all know already, the next election is going to be on November 4th. And so in addition to candidate races, there are also like local issue races, and one of them is raising a small tax in Lorain County to help support the metro parks. And so the metro parks are these publicly supported parks, and they have trails, and they support programming for kids and adults like them. And so to keep their budget where it was last year and to continue to be able to offer some of the programming that they do and to make sure that their trails are open and accessible to the hours that are currently, they need to raise it, I think, like 2 cents or something like that. And so it would amount to a total of $8 per resident in taxes. So I was approached by somebody who works in the chemistry department, and she's just like a local community member who's interested in raising awareness about this issue. So if you guys are interested, I can invite her to come and make a presentation here. And I think the result that she is looking for is for us to help educate voters over the next month as they go, particularly college students, if they go into the polls and plan on voting on that local issue. So if you guys would be interested, I can invite her in and we can talk about that more. Yeah.
Is this generally something that we would field, or would it be better to send it to like the more political student groups on campus?
Yeah, so they're also invited, but generally in the past, we have been involved with just voter education, and I feel like since Democrats and Republicans have certain biases, and also people perceive them a certain way, whereas we as student government, I think, also have a self-interest in making sure that people are just aware about the political process, and so perhaps Let's not say like we're for the levy or whatever, or against it, but just this is why it's happening, this is all the information out there, and that's what people would want to know.
So
Nick?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. If we want to write a resolution after she presents, that's also an option to us. I would be happy to kind of educate people on how to write a resolution because they're funky things. They're pretty easy, but they're also just very weird. Because there's a certain language you use and it's bizarre. Also, we've done similar things in the past, especially related to transportation issues. And so it's not unheard of.
Justin?
Please clarify.
Okay, clarify.
So what has voter education things that students have done in the past? What do they look like? What have they been about? Like, can you speak kind of just generally on expectations?
So there were, none of them happened during my 2 years, but I know before that, it was actually more so about like office races. So I know particularly in the Bush era, there was a lot of, you should not vote for this congressional candidate because they are supportive of this type of policy. I mean, this is a little bit different. That's an angle we could take because we do take political stances sometimes. But I think this issue, we could, like Nick mentioned, we could write a resolution support or against or whatever. But the way that I was approaching it, the way that I thought was more important was just general education, because this is something that a lot of Oberlin College students do vote, and a lot of them are not from here. And so if they're voting on a local issue, they should be aware of what the actual information is.
Additional comment? Yes.
I was just going to voice a concern that this probably isn't going to be done if it isn't assigned to a working group or person. So like, do you think we could like send this to a working group, say like your job is to like
what would be done?
Well, I think educating.
I think not to sort of imply. Oh, is it a city or something? Okay.
Although I think maybe that would be better to discuss after she like comes and talks to us.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I just wanted to see if that's cool for us to come before I like invite her.
Yeah.
Should we do general
feelings? Oh, yes.
I want to say just one thing about like the focus of like this student senate. Like, I think this is like a wonderful issue. I think we will be best effective when we're focusing our resources on student life, and that like, yes, we can like make these little forays into like local politics, but I think keeping our scope smaller in general is just like a good idea of where I would take this.
I think that's a good point, and obviously we do have most direct influence on things related to student life, but I think it's also important for people to be conscious of the community that we live in, and if they do take like the small act of voting here, then we should do our best to make sure people are educated. And it definitely won't be the focus, but I just think that we fit into this broader system. So.
Okay, the next point on the discussions is the task force for bylaw revisions. I added this, and I think Nick, you said that during your office hours you're considering this issue as well. And if you read through the bylaws and the handbook, to less extent the Constitution, which you've said is much more difficult to amend, but in the handbook, I need to have revised. One of my duties as the secretary is to revise it, and I'm supposed to be in charge of coordinating efforts in amending the bylaws. And clearly right now, as we go along, we seem to make on-the-go changes to the bylaws that make the bylaws functional to how the Senate is working now. So I drafted a proposal. So to rectify the situation of having a discrepancy between the bylaws and the function of the Senate, and simply to clear up some of the faults. There are a few places I noted where there is a word, it's a homophone, so it actually has to be approved as a change rather than just a typesetting change. And so my proposal is that the Senate commission a task force on revisions to the governance documents, and that I, the secretary, would be appointed to the chair of that. So can we have a vote on forming a task force? Or actually first some commentary, what do you think? I think you start, you had your hand.
Go for it.
Sure. I think the governance chair, which was like that new position that I like talked for last, it's Zach. That's something to talk about, but I think that can be very closely related as something that you guys can like work together on and have that done.
Actually, in reviewing what the Constitution says about the governance chair, that's not one of the duties of the governance chair. Governance chair's job is to increase student awareness of governance on campus. Also, the governance chair it does not appear in the bylaws, and according to the Constitution, those positions are flexible, apparently, in terms of their use. And so that's a reason for revising the bylaws, is to make consistent what we do as the Senate and make consistency between our rules and our process. Anjali, anything else?
I guess I thought we made a task force for this last time. Maybe I'm crazy. It's entirely possible.
I believe it was recommended.
Yeah.
But not created.
Oh, did we not like actually commit to anything? Okay, then continue.
Zach?
Yeah, I strongly agree with the need for a bylaw revisions task force. It seems like a little bit weird to just change things on the fly rather than having kind of a principal change to the bylaws. And as I guess the governance chair, I'm happy to partake and help out, but I don't see it as my position as a governance chair doesn't necessitate, and I can have hands off or hands on, however people feel.
Okay.
I've had hiccups.
We talked earlier about the operations working group, right? Last week. Okay, so Aaron just sent this resolution that we passed last spring, and in it states that we will, in the fall of 2014, create a new working group. That is called the Oberlin Operations Working Group. And so this sounds like the same thing. So we amended our bylaws to allow for more working groups, right? Correct. And so perhaps instead of doing the task force, we should just make this a working group in order to fulfill the requirement that we set forth last spring. Does that make sense?
It's sort of a direct response. I don't think they have to be I don't think we have to do one or the other. I think we can do both, but
the same thing. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. The task force can be spearheaded by the working group. I don't know how it works exactly. But.
Yeah.
Probably easier just do one.
My suggestion was the task force because we do have the fixed end of basically preparing a revised student handbook for approval, or revised bylaws, which would require a certain amount of debate because of but that's the reason to have a group also for such as that. If I went through and made corrections, they'd have to be inspected and debated because in clarification or in potential revision, then there's room for how interpretation is made, and therefore that has to be decided on as a group. Aaron in the back.
Just a little context. I don't really care what you guys do. First of all, what is better, But just a little context also. When we created the working group last semester, to do that, it was a twofold task. So one was to look at our bylaws and try to fix the internal inconsistencies, and then maybe even the SFC was interested in working with us on that. I don't really care what you guys do with that, but they were interested in their bylaws and we work together. But the other part of it, besides bylaws, was that they would handle the checkout interviews every semester that senators also by their bylaws required to do, and because no one person should really have to transcribe how many interviews senators actually managed to do. And that was that's all in the resolution, if Malcolm wants to share it with everyone. Or I think it is at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it gives you some more ideas of what that working group was initially designed to do. You can of course always make a bylaw change to remove the working group. It's your body, I don't really care, but it was also supposed to do the interviews in addition to the bylaws, if that helps.
Well, we currently do not have an Oberlin operations working group. So, I propose to form a task force on revision to these documents.
Was that a vote?
Yes, I think a hand vote. All in favor?
Unless people have questions.
I have a question. Would that fulfill that resolution requirement? A task force as opposed
yeah,
to
with
what's
the task force
It says
also.
working group, we can change this as part
Oh,
of
okay.
the overworking of the bylaws.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah. The task force.
Sure.
So vote on the proposal to form a task force.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstaining, I recuse myself. So with that, I believe we now have a task force on the reforming of the bylaws and the student handbook. I'll take point on this, and would anybody care to join me, please? Jordan?
I'll help.
Ty? Zach?
Can you put me in the emails, but I can't commit to meetings necessarily?
I'll put
Yeah.
your CC.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of the same size.
Yeah. Can I also be part of the emails, but I'll come to
Sure.
Are you good? Was that?
That was the end of that part of
Okay.
discussion.
Also, you don't need to recuse yourself just because you read the resolution. Or
Yeah.
change it.
Well, I feel that I'm like an interested party in it, so.
We're never gonna propose something we're not interested
I
in.
love how we go a little further on this debate each time. Like every time someone decides whether or not to recuse themselves, we have a little skirmish.
Can I throw in at the end of the bylaws discussion, I asked to be put out there, but I don't know if I was. If you are a charter liaison, event coordinator, city liaison, South Campus liaison, OSCA liaison, or the governance chair, you currently are not held accountable by the point system for your position, so by next plenary, you could get me at least 2 responsibilities and what you think the appropriate points are. It's usually 2 to 5 for not doing whatever you think your responsibilities are. I don't want to tell you guys how to do your jobs, but it's only fair to the student body that you are held accountable by the same system that everyone else is. And you can work with the people who are.
No, yeah. I'm sorry. What exactly? You're asking us to send you?
So if I don't review your time cards, I get 2 points for not doing that. There's nothing written in our bylaws that says that you as South Campus liaison, if you don't do, I don't know what you would, right.
So you want us to say
What you're explicitly
X
going to-
amount of points for doing this.
Yeah.
X amount of points for not doing this.
Right, so if you think your biggest thing is going to working group, and you want to make that specifically part of your job, instead of I'm not required to go to any specific working group, but if you think that being South Campus liaison means going to South Campus working group, then say that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be, so hold that every week, and if you don't, 1 or 2 points.
So, and these are related specifically, sorry to kind of mess up stack, these are related specifically to our positions, not as co-chairs of a working group, not as members of a committee, okay.
You can look at the other ones for other positions, just, those are 6 positions that aren't held accountable right now, which is a lot.
Okay.
So.
The next topic is the stagger of elections.
I know that this got brought up at least somewhat after the candidates night, and so elections are supposed to happen at the start of every semester, but because we have a complete wipe, everyone got elected in the fall, and so no one will be up in the spring. You said you're gonna walk off.
Well, we also have 1 seat because Peter walked.
Did he not get replaced then?
Yeah, he got replaced.
No, he got replaced. So
I thought he did.
No.
What?
Just kidding.
No, there would be 15 senators.
Okay, great.
Well, so Peters was an appointment, so it was the next person, so they weren't elected, so I don't know who that person is, so we can learn.
Peter resigned before.
He resigned before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Why? Well, never mind.
Okay, so
because of otherwise, the last person, he knew the last person would not be. I think I don't.
They'd have to be
exactly what it was,
reelected
but,
in the
they'd
fall.
have to be reelected
In the spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
But everyone, at this point, everyone is elected in the fall, right?
Yes, because Peter resigned when he did. But also, if you want to look into that more, or you don't think that's legitimate, then all the documents are in the election folder.
Okay.
I don't think that's.
I'll have to Google that.
Anyway, I just think there's a vested interest in having student senate continue to be staggered in the way that it is, so that everyone doesn't just come on. But yeah,
Can we do a quick straw poll, like who is considering resigning at the end of this semester?
if this isn't implemented.
With the potential to rerun.
Yeah.
But so that there's
Right.
that staggered thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. So how many people was it?
Yeah, like I feel like
4
maybe
or
at the end
5.
of the semester we'll have a better idea because we don't really know right now if you're gonna
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
a lot. So I mean, like,
fair.
I think this is the type of issue that sort of comes out in the wash in the end and resolves itself.
I'm just worried it won't, but yeah.
Talk about it closer to elections.
Sure.
And the pressure can actually be on, but
Sure,
right
sure.
now I think most people aren't willing to commit to walking.
Never mind, if we're not talking about it now, I won't.
Yeah, no, this can wait. Just make sure people know about it.
So, I have a proposal also, we're at the end of plenary, I'd like to extend by 30 minutes.
It's 9:30.
We have to. Yeah, we just finished, so we have to extend plenary officially. So I have a proposal to extend it by 30 minutes.
Wait, clarify.
If you need to go though,
Yeah.
it's acceptable to leave without any penalty.
So are we then? Are we then required to extend it all the way to 10, or is 10 just another ceiling?
No,
That's just
okay.
Separate.
Got
Just
it.
raise the all, yeah, like you said, you can leave now.
Raise the debt ceiling. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
I should leave.
Officers and points, I think you brought that up
Yeah.
already. So that's, again, points for positions that don't have points yet.
Yes.
The referendum task force.
Does anyone have a report back? 'Cause, like,
Has it met yet?
I mean, that's me. I have done flyers. I was going to ask because I meant to print out a bunch of flyers and have them here to distribute, but the printer in the library wasn't working. So I said I was going to send out intermittent emails just asking people for help. Yeah.
Okay, wait, do we?
We have a clarifying question, but are you clarifying also?
I have a helpful hint for everyone. Everyone. Basically, so Senate has a printing services account.
Oh.
So we don't use your own printing quota to print things off to advertise about things. Yeah.
Careful. Can we email the password to
We can send that information out to
Oh
everyone.
wait, is it not just our email? Like the Senate email? Is
I
that
mean,
not-
no. You need a specific number that's a pin number for.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Can you say that slowly and clearly?
62% sure it's 9.
There's mouth mode! He's recording.
Okay, we still have to go and like sign, and you have to like verify that you are who you are, so. Everything matters.
Just print it.
We're sorry.
That's one very.
Write down what time it is so that you can go in and edit it out later.
Sorry.
It's like 9:35.
Someone should try and use all this.
Nick, you're in charge of getting that off.
Oh yeah. It's 9:35. Honestly, I'm probably gonna
Okay,
order
can we-
from his recording.
Where are we on the referendum?
Oh, do we?
We are 840 responses.
Woo!
Out of
1,000.
1500. That's up like 200 from last week.
Oh, really?
Hey.
Alright, so is that everything we're done with for referendum?
I was just going to ask for any general suggestions because right now all I have is flyers, emails, talking to a bunch of people and asking you guys to do the same.
I think there's someone here from every grade, so if we could all post it in our respective grade Facebook pages, that would be really, really awesome, especially because he included a little barcode thing, which is so adorable.
I would say I feel like email and flyers and Facebook things are good, but they're also everywhere and for everything. And so since this is Yeah, this is like a bit of a more intensive project, and so if we go into organizations meetings and like present to them like why this is important, and then literally bring a computer and like make them do it, that's a little more helpful.
Jordan, stay.
Yeah, I think this is something that the student engagement work group can talk about too in conjunction with you. So Jessica should come to our meeting, not this week, but next week.
Okay.
And we can do some specific postering, discussions, kind of vision paper among all of us, tabling, blah, blah, blah.
Nick, you're next.
Along the line of tabling, I think all of us should try to like sort of make our office hours into an impromptu tabling.
Uh-huh.
You know, when people come by and they have concerns, you address their concerns, and then you say, hey, have you filled out the referendum yet? Stuff like that. Also, if you have candy, give them candy. Everyone likes a reward for doing a good job, like a little Hershey kiss or something.
Oh.
The other Nick, were you want to
Oh, yeah. They're like, I think it's okay to spam about this. It's gone on long enough. Spamming is okay. There's no reason not to include it in any kind of email we want to send out to the student body. It can be it can be like a 5-word blurb with the link that we include on every post, every whatever, and we can just copy that and make it a standard form kind of thing. The most important thing I think is exposure, and most people don't really know kind of student government aspects of student life. So,
Sarah?
Oh, Nick literally said exactly what I wanted to say.
You had your hand up.
So whoever requested access to the default referendum 2014 responses sheet, I'm sorry I did not grant that until now, but Senate now has access to the response to the referendum, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Zachary and Emma.
Yeah, I think tabling would be helpful and potentially a dorm storm if we think we need to make that work. A dorm storm is when you literally, it's canvassing people's dorms and ask them to sign the
Knocking on
Yeah, knocking on doors.
That's good. I think we should do that.
I was gonna say I really agree with Nick, and also something that Nia, who was last semester's associate liaison, found was that a lot more people will respond if you offer them some kind of incentive. And so what we did was offer a lottery for a $10 slow train ticket. And that day, that email in comparison to every other email, I think the responses went up like 200%. And so we have a budget. And we can take some money out and like offer things. I don't know if people like, but that would work. Maybe.
What do we need to do to offer something like that? Do we just need someone to go to SoTrain and buy?
Yeah, we just buy it, and you just compensate yourself with the Senate money in our budget.
Cool.
Is that kosher with SFC?
What?
SFC policy is fine with that.
Reimbursement, I think.
For
A lot of times reimbursement is. But
Yeah.
It's something that allows students
Yeah,
to
we
do.
I thought that was
I think
think.
Sarah, I think that she did get reimbursed, but if not, we have 15 people here and it costs $10, and I feel like if we threw $1 to some more
Yeah,
percent,
that's fine.
so-
I just don't remember SFC policy.
Yeah.
I don't want to guarantee that you get reimbursed.
Any more business on the referendum task force?
Sorry, I'd like to propose that someone go get a gift card and that we have a raffle or lottery.
So just like commit to it? Okay.
I guess that would be me just because I'll do that. Crocheting, is that?
Yeah,
agreed?
people like something.
What do people like? Is there agave? Okay.
No.
All right.
It's like downtown dollars, but it's kind of
Yeah, direct response. I like the idea of having it be a $15 one. We each contribute $1. I think that works. I think everyone can spare $1.
If we can't compensate out of the Senate budget.
we can just compensate.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
what
if we can't pull that off.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get $15 if you don't.
Yeah.
Cool.
Proposal, so we have to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. So that's the referendum task force. Any further business? Okay. The upcoming events.
So, you guys saw the email about Coffee with Krizlov. That's going to be is it the second week? Is it next week?
Next
Oh,
Monday.
that's tomorrow.
Next Monday?
Oh, it's next Monday?
Yeah.
It's the 13th.
One second.
The 13th?
Check.
Yeah.
Tuesday the 13th. So that's going to be at 10 o'clock in Azariah's. And I know the outreach had a few questions about.
Sorry, that's 10 p.m.?
10 p.m., yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's from 10 to 11. And typically we advertise with a Facebook event and
Yeah.
posters, which have some kind of funny picture of him.
Yeah.
Anjali, you want to do Facebook?
I got it.
Yeah. And they handle the coffee and cookies, so we don't need
I'll
to
also
worry
do
about.
some Twitter stuff.
Yeah, because we don't need to worry about anything other than advertising, so I will tell your classmates and do all that stuff.
So 10 p.m. on the 13th.
Yes. And this is a Senate-sponsored event, so you are required to attend unless you can't, in which case they will allow less here and then 24 hours in advance. And then also this Thursday, so the trustees are having their quad annual meeting. I think that's it.
Quarterly.
So, is it quarterly? Yeah. Quad annual. And so as a part of the weekend, they have a forum in which they speak to students. It's voluntary for them, and so if they choose to come, they will engage. And it's hosted by the class trustees, but typically Student Senate has a role in advertising and making sure people get out there. So that's going to be this Thursday in Wilder, Maine, and it's either 9 or 9:30. They're still clarifying that. We'll let you guys know as soon as I know. And so if we could just start thinking about advertising for that, I mean, it's this Thursday, so pretty soon will be better. We can make that a priority over Coffee with Grizzle just because it's sooner. So.
That's this Thursday.
This Thursday, yeah.
The middle of the
We need to get them on
Yeah.
Like now.
Like tomorrow. Yeah. There's also food.
Oh, there's food, free food,
Oof.
yes. What type of food?
Nachos?
Not.
Good nachos, yes.
Is it mandatory for us to attend?
No, because we don't sponsor it, we're just advertising it.
Gotcha.
Though it is either a big one.
Yeah, okay. I'm not, I didn't say I'm not gonna go, I'm just saying it's mandatory.
It's like individualized. Okay. What was I gonna say? Outreach, something about outreach. I have a really bad memory, I don't know what's happening.
Are there any other events?
No, there's only 2 events. Okay. That's good.
When is general faculty?
So they'll send an email. So I added you guys also to the general faculty Blackboard thing. Well, I didn't personally, but I got added. So they'll send an email a few days before, and so you'll know.
Okay.
Typically the 2nd, I think. The 2nd. So it's probably this week actually. Is it this week? General faculty. It's either the 2nd or the 3rd of every month. But they'll send an email before, so you'll know.
Second or third, what day?
Wednesday at noon.
Okay.
Yeah. That is a requirement.
The one required.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday at noon.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if it's this one day.
Does it typically run like an hour?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Any other upcoming business? Okay. General feelings of moving on to the last section.
Oh, I have one. I'm sorry. I remember what I was going to say. So, do you guys know the red board we have downstairs?
No.
We have a student. Next to the mailroom.
Yeah.
There's this really. I don't know why we chose red. There's this really intimidating red board that says Student Senate and has some random information about elections. And so, typically, what happens is we update that information with our names, working groups, and like times of meetings. They can access that. So I thought we could, if outreach could get on that and update that. That'd be good. But also, if you guys want to see something fun, I think there's a lot of opportunity. Like a lot of people go by there, they don't necessarily know Student Senate things, so we could do something cool with that.
One thing that we tried to do when I was in outreach, I've never actually ended up doing it, but we had all the pictures, is we got all the senators to send in a picture of themselves if they're comfortable to like put up there, if that would work. That's just an idea. But then that way people will know who's on Senate and be able to like say, oh hey, I want to talk to you about a problem. That's it.
Okay.
Oh, wait, quick question. I just thought of it, and it might have bugs, but I just thought maybe like, okay, so for our Senate Facebook page, we could do like a big picture of us as like the cover photo, but maybe like doing like a Senator of the Week for the profile picture. Thoughts this is totally like, the moment, but whatever you want to do, I don't know.
Sounds like a great thing to talk about at work group.
Yeah.
Senator
of the week.
I think it'd be fun.
Just because I feel like a bunch of people in like that tiny little frame looks weird, but I don't care.
Okay.
And GF is on the 15th at noon. And King through general faculty. At noon, King through 6.
Wait, this 15th this month?
Yes.
Oh.
So it's every month.
No.
But it's not the 15th of every month. It's held every month, and the date will change.
Just once a month.
Yes.
Oh, where did you say it was?
King 306.
Is in fact monthly.
Is that a word?
Yeah, I think
What's
so.
the numerical term for 12?
Decade.
Decade annually.
I think that
But
would
we
be,
don't-
I would think that would be like every 12 years. But no, decade.
Decade. Oh.
Yeah.
Also, 12 times a year because it doesn't meet during like summer.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it totally doesn't matter at all.
That's facilitated.
Yes, we've gone through everything else, so general goals are moving to facilitator. Okay. Who would like to be facilitated? Sarah? Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And so checkout. So I'll begin. I'm Albert for he, him, and his. I'm the secretary of the Student Senate. And this coming week, I'd like to, well, I will have my office hour. I will continue working on updating the website. I will hopefully get on Nick C about the minutes.
I'll get them to you by tonight.
Okay. So yes. And we can go counterclockwise, I suppose.
Mahmoud, I see him his. I'm a third year. I'm going to contact our lobbyist for the levy issue and get her to come. I'm going to get the information for the trustee form so we know it's 9 or 9:30 and see whether or not we can help in any other way. I'm going to have my office hour. Hopefully we can have this financial accessibility working group meeting and hope that isn't conflict with student health. And yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. Ty, do I have to say my name? It's okay. Like Ty Wagner, he, him, his. I'm going to reach out to the review about either us writing something for them or them writing something about us. I'm going to set up the SFC Senate working group. I'm going to fill out your one is good, and I think maybe a couple other, the transport one is good. I got a lot of one is goods to fill out. I'm going to direct some students that I know are interested in working groups to the working group leaders.
Jordan Ecker, he, him, his. So this week we're going to start doing outreach for the 3 events we just discussed. Coffee with Krislov, the general faculty, and...
Well, the general faculty is not an event.
Oh, okay.
So we don't need the others.
Let's do that then, the 2 events we discussed. And then no working group meeting this week, but next week. And yeah, I'll hold off the hours on Thursday.
Sarah, she, her, hers. I'm going to hold my office hours, have meetings with both my working groups of student health and EMT, and turn 21 on Sunday. We'll see if I'm here. It's an AP.
Your birthday's on Sunday?
Yeah, it's
That's gonna be
only
fun
allowed
plenary.
I'm Nick Olson. I see him and his. Next week, I'm going to hold office hours, go to multiple working group meetings, hopefully. We're still on the when is good. I've answered, I think, everyone that I've gotten, so that's good. Okay, so it sounds like the coffee with Krislov is pretty much entirely planned?
Yeah, we seem to advertising.
Word, okay. So I don't need to do anything for that. That's exciting. I will also continue to harass people about the referendum.
Yay.
All right, so I'm Zach Gill, he, him, his. This week I'm going to dinner at Keep on Monday, dinner pile on Tuesday. Yeah, and so on. I'm visiting all the co-ops this week to talk about my position and how people can access me. And I'm going to not hold off my Oscar Leos and office hours on this Monday, but next Monday I'm going to begin those. I'm going to attend the student health work group on Wednesday, and I'm going to begin to promote both. We're going to work with the outreach coordinators to promote this subreddit, and also try to recruit some Oskins for Megan's varsity athletics
Nick, third year, he, him, his. I'm going to hopefully hold office hours in the MRC. I'm going to email Albert some recordings ASAP by midnight, promise. I am going to try to get this South Campus working group off the ground, and I am going to continue to try to get our committee stuff updated. I'm going to email Pam Piron. I'm going to email her. I'm going to talk to Aaron and my other committee dudes, and I'm going to try to sleep as well.
Corey, second year, he, him, his, gonna work with Nick and Ben and I guess Aaron as well on trying to figure out more about this committee stuff, see what we can do to put people where they need to go and all that fun stuff, and hold office hours.
Ben, he, him, his. Yeah, same thing as Corey and Nick. Just keep up on committee appointments. Yeah, expect some emails from me and Corey in the near future about interviews. Hopefully, if people get back to us with their applications. Let's see, hold office hours, go to work groups, and like hopefully convince the grape that we're not like narcs. To like publish something by us. So we'll see.
You need to write it first.
And that's kind of the vibe I got, because none of them want to like help us. So.
I'd be super down to help you.
Yeah, let's get together and do that.
It'd be really fun.
Yeah.
And I'm down.
Alright, I'm Justin. I'm for he, him, his. I'm going to go print out a shitload of flyers for the referendum. I'm going to sign us up for a Senate SCO night. Sending Albert my info about the referendum task force. I'm sending Sarah my responsibilities for the events coordinator. I'm gonna go get a slow train gift card.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, I'm Anjali for She, Her, and Hers. I'm gonna start advertising for the event on Thursday. You know, starting up our Twitter and Facebook stuff, changing our pictures to be more interesting. I'm going to change the Senate board downstairs. With help, hopefully. I'm gonna hold my office hours. I'm gonna go to my first city or town hall meeting or city hall meeting or whatever on tomorrow at 7. And I'm going to send Sarah my responsibilities both as city liaison and as events coordinator.
Hi, I'm Zachary. I prefer he, him, and his. He, him, and his. The main things I want to do are have the first meeting of the Student Financial Accessibility Group, which will be likely Thursday. 2, staff recovery. 3, hopefully, it's not going to be a week. 3, office hours and do outreach for the website.
One final point of business, I think you have an announcement to make about facilitation.
Oh yeah, I switched with Nick because
It's your birthday.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
This meeting is
I will feel better now.
9:55.
Sorry.
So my recording is likely going to come out really shitty.
One person doesn't like
Would
it
you
and I
mind